Hi, am I on the air?
Yep.
Fuck.
Thanks.
I've been in the danger zone.
He got a bath. Minus 5 stars. Mango.
Huh? Yeah, we got to use that.
Jeff Harvey.
How much does a skyway?
Play.
Roleplay 21.
Fucking. Red Dragon.
Well, what is going down, everybody? Welcome back. It is time for a spoiler review. You know what it is? It's Am I Still on the Air, where we come together and usually have some special guests with me, and we talk in detail about movies. And tonight, we're doing the one everybody's been waiting for, Star Wars The Force Awakens. So this is going to be a spoiler review. I'm giving you fair warning right now. We are talking about this movie as if you've seen it. We're talking about what's good, what's not so good, what's coming later, speculation, the whole nine. So, yeah. So I hope you're all ready for this. Spoiler alert, you have been warned. We're talking about this movie all the way. So, I am your host, DONMEGA, and joined with me tonight is a full panel. You know him from Red Dragons Assemble, Peeps, and Geeky Pat, and along with us as well, from the People's Forum, is Frigginz. So what up, guys?
Yo, yo.
What up, Geek Nation?
Hello, planet Earth or something? Is that what we do? Our catchphrases? I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there you go, there you go.
Well, mine was kind of lame. It was just yo, yo. I got to come up with something better than that.
Yo, yo, home slice.
It's locked in now. Everyone's going to expect that.
That was the best one.
I have a special guest in the house right now. Hey, can you say hello?
It's like, no.
not.
That's awesome.
I'm busy playing.
All right. So, yep, the gang is all here. We had to get everybody together because this is the biggest movie of the year and quite possibly could be the biggest movie of all time. It's definitely on its way. Currently sitting today at over 600 million domestically and 1.2 billion globally. Star Wars is just on fire and killing it. So, this is, I'm glad that we're going to do this. We're going to get this together. This is going to be the last new episode here of 2015, which is crazy as we're just a couple days shy of the new year. So, am I still in the air? Star Wars The Force Awakens spoiler review. So let's jump into it. This is something that I know all of us have been super psyched where we knew it was coming. And it's crazy that it's finally here. And I know, me and Geeky Pat and Peeps, we assembled at the movie theater last Friday for the IMAX 3D showing on December the 18th when it opened up. And, Frigginz bailed on us, even though he should have been there with us.
I should have.
He waited all the way to Sunday to watch it, which is crazy. So crazy.
I didn't want to deal with the lines.
Come on, man. If there's ever a time to deal with the line.
I know.
Jeez,
I should have just done it.
God. You could have been, even Peeps had already seen it earlier in the day and still came back to go see it.
Yeah, I waited in the line twice in one day.
Exactly.
Right.
I failed.
There's not very many movies that we try to pull together for, and you have failed the city. So so we got in IMAX 3D. It was it was beautiful, and the great thing for me, and I'm sure for these guys too, is what makes the movie going experience is always the crowds that you see it with. And when you go on like an opening day for something like this, it's so cool. It's such an event kind of moment because you get the diehards. I mean, we had the people in our theater with lightsabers and, and masks and all kinds of cool shit. And when that screen goes dark and the Lucasfilm logo pops up and the crowd just erupts into applause, and then you of course see the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then just that opening crawl, the theme music. It was just so cool because you get such a crowd reaction, and that continued throughout the movie when when you see Han Solo and Chewie for the first time, and when certain things happen, you get that spark of a really hyped crowd. We've all seen the movie multiple times now at this point, and I I know at least for me, I mean the reaction is never the same as it is on that opening night. Like I saw it a couple days later, and people were happy to see it, but I mean it's not like how it is on that opening night, and especially when you have people like diehards like us who waited in line for 4 hours to watch it in IMAX 3D, so
And I think the crowd they just really just bring on all of those like opening moments, like every time they cheer when you see something, it's like inside of my soul, I'm cheering.
right.
Now that they're cheering out loud, I'm gonna cheer out loud. And then at the end credits, everybody's just like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And I totally missed that on Sunday, so that sucked. Like it was like a perfect like movie experience where like no one makes noise and everything was great. But I missed that like excitement of like everyone cheering, and I hear like people talking about it like, oh, the crowd went nuts, and I was like, damn it, I missed that.
Yeah,
Right.
that opening epic music it like lit everyone up when it was like dong and then Star Wars came up.
Yep.
And, oh, it was so. We didn't even cheer when Lucas Arts came up first. Remember
Well, that's
that?
what I'm
Right?
saying. Yeah, well, it
Yeah.
just says Lucasfilm, and it's just you're like, yeah, like
I'm here.
you're like it's happening, it's finally happening.
Yeah, it was so good.
It's just so cool, man. So obviously we'll go around. We'll talk kind of general thoughts before we get into any real like details. Just a real quick kind of general thought, and obviously for me, I loved it, and I think we all basically share that sentiment. Since I've told you, we've all seen it multiple times already, which is kind of crazy, and it just goes to show. I mean, that's how this box office is just blowing up to the numbers that it is because it's multiple viewings. Everybody's saying, I gotta go back, I gotta watch it again. And this is a movie where I think you benefit from seeing it multiple times because of the fact of new
Yeah.
things you get to pick up on and things you didn't see before and
Definitely.
things to look out for. Because I mean we were all trying to dodge spoilers before the movie came out, and then now that the movie's out, like you start reading about so and so was in this scene and so was in that scene, and listen for the audio in this scene. Like Ewan McGregor did lines in the movie, and you would have had no clue, that Ewan McGregor reprised his role as Obi-Wan. You don't see him. Yeah, these are your first steps.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
And there's
Yoda, too.
there's a Yoda line in there. Like I mean, there's stuff in there that you don't catch on the first go around, and that's why multiple viewings are great, and the movie just holds up. It really holds up. Like I enjoyed it so much the second time, I almost to the point to where I'd say I even enjoyed it more because I felt like I don't know. I almost feel like with movies like that, and I felt the same way with like Avengers and like Ant-Man and stuff like that, because it's like I don't know, because you go in with so much anticipation that first go around to where you're kind of almost like hesitant, and then when you go in the second time, you kind of watch it a little bit more at ease, a little bit more laid back, and then you're like you just get to kind of absorb it a little bit more.
It almost feels like a different movie entirely.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. And you also get to pick up on like little tiny details, like the first time I watched it, I don't pick up on right in the beginning they reference like your father this or your father that, and then like so the next go around was like, oh, now I know who he's talking about, and like it's really cool to catch.
Yeah,
all
you know
the,
where
like,
you came.
subtle-
I know where you came from and all that.
Right.
Like, I know where you came
Exactly.
from too.
Yeah, yeah. That whole opening scene with that old dude talking to Kylo Ren, like you
Which-
appreciate that scene so much more because
Definitely.
they're sitting there talking, yeah, and he's like, I know where you come from, I know what happened, and you're like, yeah, I know what's up too, Whereas in the beginning, when you watch it the first time, you're like, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? Who is this dude? And it's like, I think we all probably had ideas that Kylo was going to be related in some form or fashion. But you don't really fully know, and then it's kind of cool because you do pick up on a lot of things. Once you know how the story's playing out, you can understand some of the dialogue a little bit better because you know what they were going for in a very loose way. But like I said, we'll get to details a little bit later. But I absolutely, just like I said, first impressions, love this movie. It is definitely my favorite movie of the year at this point. And my hat is off to J.J. Abrams, who basically had what seemed like an impossible task to put together a movie, kind of bring it back to its glory after all these years, give me a continuing story of a movie I never thought I'd see. The continuing adventures of Luke, Han, and Leia, and all of them. I never thought I'd see the continuation of that. Like to me, I felt like at least in my lifetime, all I was going to get was that prequel story because I know, even before they made the prequels, George Lucas was always like, if I do anything, it's probably going to be, the origin tales. And so I never thought we would get 7, 8, and 9. And now we do. And I am so excited to get to number 8. I want to continue this story. I want to see where it takes us, so absolutely. Absolutely love it all the way. So I'll throw it over to you, Fred. You go ahead and take it. First overall impressions when you finally got to there on Sunday. What'd you think?
It did take me a little while, that's for sure. Sunday seemed to take forever, but I completely echo everything you're saying. It was just a fantastic experience. A couple things that I just general impressions, like when this movie started up, like you guys talked about, like that music comes on, the symbol Star Wars pops up there, and it was like from that moment all the way through the entire movie, I had the biggest damn smile on my face. It was just like every scene there was just complete happiness. And so that just made the experience really well for me. So I didn't get that cool crowd reaction that you guys all had, but it was just like it was so internal. Like my body had tingles going through it, and and it was just great because it was just a total different reaction than I've ever had in any other movie, and even the Marvel stuff, which I love. It was just this is something that goes
I don't know.
so
You told
far.
me when you saw Magic Mike, you had some tingles.
That's a different kind of.
He's
tingle,
had a
my
bigger
friend.
grin on his
That's a
face than
different
ever.
And and this was like extra special for me because I remember way back in like January when you guys did your podcast episode of like the most anticipated movies, or maybe it was I don't know, but the only thing Star Wars we had seen at that point was the little tiny teaser that was like less than a minute long. Well, like at that point, once I saw that, Star Wars had instantly bumped up to my most anticipated movie. I know you guys all had Avengers, but like I had been counting down for this after I saw that teaser. It was just a purely like exciting and fantastic experience. So overall, general, just nothing but that nostalgic happiness, that joy of feeling like a kid again, and that we're always kind of searching for and getting those same feelings you had when you were a little kid. It was just all there for me in this movie, and J.J. Abrams rocked it, and everyone involved just totally rocked it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely no. I mean, I was looking when I saw it the second time. I went with my other brother-in-law, who wasn't there with us on opening night, and I kind of just glanced over at his face when that opening kind of crawl started in the theme song, and he had the biggest grin across his face, which made me smile, and it was just because you just especially for us in our generation, like that it's just there's something about it that you can't really explain that no other movie kind of gives you, and it is a general excitement, and you do have that grin kind of the whole movie where you're just having a blast and you can't wait to see what's next. Peeps, I'm going to throw it over to you now. You had already seen it earlier in the day. This dude, which is funny because we didn't know he had already seen it, and then we got in line like 3 hours early to see the movie in IMAX on opening day.
Did we all get lines 3 hours
yeah,
early?
yeah. And
We were all there.
we were all there in line waiting, and you know,
Thank
uh,
you, Pat.
we get there, and Peeps is like, "Oh, I already saw this earlier today," and he's going into his second viewing. So, since you saw it twice in one day, give me what was your initial thought the first time you did it, and then like the second time seeing it again in IMAX with us.
Yeah, so as you said, the first time I saw it, it was standard definition, and it was at our local mall, and it was the first showing of the day, and we got there like hella early, and the theater wasn't even open, so like the line was just wrapping around in like a s- funky spiral, like whoever's in charge of that line, like I don't know, but like just like standing in the line, like these types of events, like the second time I was standing with you guys, but the first time, I was only with my uncle, and my 3-year-old son. But just the energy, from everyone standing in line. You see someone walked in dressed as Ray, a couple guys walked in dressed as um Jedi, and every time somebody walks in, everybody, in the line cheers, and it's just like the line is like it's like an event on its own, and I don't know, like I just the anticipation, I'm 2 hours early, waiting, and just I don't know, it was great, but going into the movie, well, let me answer the question. I mean, Don, um, you broke this news. I'm obviously a longtime fan of Am I on the Air, but when you first announced, hey, Lucas sold the rights to Star Wars for some odd $1 billion, and guess what? Disney already announced that they're going to be making a Star Wars movie the day that I guess that they made the transaction public, and I'm just like, no way! But then at that moment, I'm like, but I don't really know how another Star Wars. Like, we just got over the other ones, and for me personally, I had a bad taste in my mouth from the episode 1, 2, 3. So
Oh,
I'm
here we
like,
go. Damn it.
yeah. So at first I wasn't too excited, but then I was still a little excited because somebody else is going to get their hands in it. And listening to Don, every time he would talk about this movie, it just sounded better and better. And they announced the cast. It's a bunch of, to me, no names. I hadn't seen any of these people before, and that, like, I like that. I don't want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger as the next, or Toby Maguire is going to be in the next Star Wars. Like, I don't want to see it. Like, I want to see new faces. Like, give somebody else a chance. And
Well,
and then
that's what they did in the originals. I mean, no, Harrison Ford was nobody in the first Star Wars
He
movie.
did like one
Right?
Hot Rod movie.
Yeah, he would. George
He
Lucas went out
retired.
and he casted no names.
But it
No,
backfired on them with episode 1 and 2 with doing the Hayden Christensen or whatever his name. He was kind of a no name, and that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, it did. Stop.
what to stop people from dying.
Hey, it's not his fault the lines were written bad.
yeah,
I've seen him in other things. He's a good actor.
All right, but yeah, I mean, again, just kind of echoing what you guys said. I mean, this movie it did so well with not answering questions. It didn't. Things have happened over the years that they haven't really, explained. Like, how the heck did they go from just a couple, from losing the Death Star twice with how many million people or on the Empire dying to them rebuilding everything to the level of what it is, having the Star Killer base and all that. I mean, Snoke, who? Or is that his name, Snoke? Yeah. And
Supreme Leader.
yeah, and there's a warrior, the Warriors of Ren, who? And like like you were
Knights.
saying earlier, the Knights of Ren, and then the flashback scene, and just like everything. Like, there was so many little nods in here, and hopefully I don't need an answer to every question, but I just really like that. I don't know, and uh, I can probably possibly go on forever, but leaving the theater, like I did have some things that I kind of questioned, but I think you know I kind of come up with my own excuses to rationalize everything. So once we start talking about the bad, I'm gonna be the good cop tonight. So I'm not going to be negative Nancy, just so y'all know. But
Well, what experience? But since you saw it so close together from that first time to second time, like, what did you get out more? Like, did you enjoy it more the second time seeing it again in IMAX, or like what was your feeling, like
I mean,
getting to see it there?
honestly, like even though the second one was in IMAX, the sound quality was much better. You know, I'm with my boys, and um, I don't know, that first showing, that just like I was just in awe that entire time, and uh, like things are happening on screen, and I'm trying to pay attention, but I'm like I'm having these fan moments where I'm just like drooling, and as Fred's saying, like I'm smiling, looking like an idiot the whole time. Like I should have did a Shia LaBeouf recording me watching the movie moment. That would have been fun
Ooh,
to
that's a
watch.
good idea.
But man, like there's just something about that first showing that was just great. And then watching it the second time, I mean, yeah, I caught a lot more. There's certain scenes that made a lot more sense the second time in, but I don't know. There's just, again, maybe it's that whole Iron Man 1 moment where just nothing kind of is better than the first, the original.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, Pat, you've seen it multiple times as well. What was your initial reaction coming out of that movie?
Oh, it was fabulous. It was absolutely greatest movie I've seen all year. It wasn't my top one, I don't think. I think Avengers 2 was. And it took me, I think you and me, we ate dinner or something, and I remember you asking me, so is it still Avengers 2 still your favorite movie? And I paused enough to realize maybe it's not. I really did. I love this movie. I saw it 3 times in the weekend. It opened, so I saw it every day of the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it never got old. I never thought, oh, I gotta get through this scene again. I mean, I was just as excited. I was just as, still at moments I was the first time, shocked and awed. I was, I was, I don't know. I think every part of this movie was written well. It was paced well. Um, I don't think that, I don't think it had the like people were saying there needed this it factor, or there needed to be this difference from the other movies, that they were looking for more. I think the problem with that was that there wasn't as much Jedi stuff. It was more mundane people, but I liked that. I liked that it slowly led into something that had to do with the Jedi's, instead of it just starting off that way, with the Jedi's. And I think they were so used to the action scenes in the first three movies that they were looking for that kind of Jedi battles. It never took away from the movie for me. I liked every part of it. It was surprising to me how quickly I latched on to the new characters, because like some of the old characters are in there, but I really liked Finn. Made me laugh. I was attached to him. I really like Rey. That she was badass. She did a great job acting. She did a great job in this movie. Even BB-8 was awesome. So I mean, on the other side, you had great villains, except for Phasma. I mean, she was cool and all, but like she didn't do anything. But everybody else was really great. I mean, that the one guy, Hux, General Hux. Wow, that guy. There was a scene where he's talking about. He almost looked like a Hitler scene. He's standing out there and he's giving this speech on the destruction of the Republic. That kind of gave me goosebumps. It was just like so passionate and so well acted, and then all the troops responding. It was just really good movie. Also, the line experience I had was pretty good too. Even though I was there early, there's people there, and I just started talking to them, and like suddenly it was like we knew each other for a long time, even though I just met them. We're all joking around and having a good time. So I do think there is something different about a crowd for Star Wars than maybe those who waited in Jurassic Park forever. So yeah, that was a pretty big movie. So just saying, the IMAX 3D experience was the best, hands down.
Yeah, oh for sure. And yeah, going back to the line experience, I mean, it just that's what's cool about seeing it on opening night. And then a line like that is you usually surround yourself with other nerds like yourself that are
Yeah.
into it and wanna, you know, that are super stoked. I mean, we were talking to those people in line about Arrow and Flash and all,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and all the comic book stuff, and it was really cool, because that's the fan base we're hanging out with. So yeah,
One of the big fears I had with the line, and why I was trying to avoid lines, and I went to the Roadhouse, so you don't have to wait a line. It's a theater where you like order a ticket for your seat specifically, and I did that because
I know where you're going with this because Pat had that same issue and he went la 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 la
yeah,
like the whole time.
I didn't want somebody walking by to be like, "Oh my God, Luke Skywalker!"
It came
Darth
close.
Vader's-
There's this guy comes out and
Han
yells,
Solo
Han
dies.
Solo, and I stopped. As soon as he said Han Solo, I put my fingers in my ears. It was like a little kid. La, 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 la. I couldn't hear anything. And so I missed it. Everybody looked kind of pissed. But,
See, and that's exactly what I was afraid of happening, and so that was kind of part of my reasoning for going to the other type of theater, so that I could avoid all of that at all costs. But again, missing out on the cool fan experience is definitely a regret. But then again, I had no spoilers, so that was also positive.
Hey, I had no spoilers either, so shut
yeah.
up. All right, cool. So there you go. General reactions. Everybody's super, super stoked. Let's get into obviously the positives, and there's a lot of positives. I mean, and I'm sure we'll all share a lot of the same thoughts. But first of all, I gotta say, hats off to the new cast. I mean,
Yeah.
Pat just kind of touched upon it, but John Boyega, Finn, amazing.
Yeah.
Character was so awesome, made me laugh my ass off. I mean, just from the first point
Yeah.
of when he breaks out Poe Dameron, and he's like, "I'm breaking you out, man," and he's like, "You just need a pilot, don't you?" "Yeah, I need a pilot."
Why?
"I'm breaking
Because
you
it's
out."
the right thing to do.
Yeah, because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, you need a pilot, don't you? Yeah, I need a pilot. Like he just, and then, are you with the Resistance? Yeah, I'm with the Resistance.
Yeah, that's me.
That's me.
Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah, this
This
is
is what a
what
guy in the
this is what
Resistance
people
looks
look like. Yeah, this is what people in the Resistance look like. Mostly. To the whole like him, talking with BB-8 and the whole, okay, I'm not really with the Resistance, but I need you to go ahead and back me up on this. Tell me where your base is at.
Droid, please.
Yeah, droid, please. The thumbs up, and then BB-8 shooting out the little lighter. Just little moments. I mean, Finn, just awesome. I like how he got his name too. How he was like FNN 2718 or whatever. I like that it was that, and then Poe's like, I ain't calling you that. I'm gonna call you Finn. And I loved, same thing. Oscar Isaac, man. Who we do kind of know, and I was pointing out to Peeps he didn't even know. That's your Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse. He's right there, man. Oscar Isaac, a great actor. I loved the character of Poe Dameron, and I'm glad the movie kind of started off with him. You got a little bit into how BB-8 was his droid, kind of like how R2 was with Luke. I loved just that whole playoff of how he's like the best, fighter pilot, and leads the resistance, and I loved all of that with him. Ray, what can you say, man? Daisy Ridley killed it. I mean, I'm always very hesitant when I see movies cast no names, and it's not to take anything away from them, because obviously they did good enough to get the role. And we all know how hard it was to get a role in that movie. I mean, everybody in Hollywood was
Harrison
trying.
Ford just got signed up.
Everybody in Hollywood was going out for a role in this film, and to cast no names, give them kind of their first big experience. You never know how it's going to pan out. And Daisy was just, I mean, she was captivating in that role as Rey. And then, obviously, through all the twists and through just her emotion.
Even like the non-spoken parts, like in the beginning, when you first see her and you just see, her scavenging and then turning it in and then just still being kind of cool with her situation. Just like, I don't know, I love that.
Yeah.
There was definitely something about her eyes, and I mean, not to joke with you Peeps, but
Yeah.
but she'd be staring at the screen and they'd get kind of watery and at points and whatnot, and it was just like, man, she's killing it.
Yeah, I mean, she puts off a great emotion without even talking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what made that end shot so powerful. When she comes up to Luke and she grabs the lightsaber and she holds it out, like she's shaking and she's got this look in her eyes and the look in the face of like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker, and it's just like, I mean, it sold so much in that scene with no dialogue from either of those two.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And that's what was great about that. I mean, even just just the little nuances of of her pulling off the Jedi mind trick with the stormtrooper. You're going to unbuckle me, and you're going to open the door, and you're going to drop your gun. And it not working, and then her trying it again very calmly. And the emotion of when she touches the lightsaber and she gets all those like memories flash back. I mean, she pulled so much together in that role, and I'm very excited to see where her career takes her. Like, she's somebody I'm going to be interested in seeing, like, what's her next project that she's going to sign up for, and like, is she going to do other like big tentpole movies, or is she going to try to go all indie, and like, and like I said, going back to John Boyega, it's like that dude's like this British actor, hardcore British dude, and I was like always very afraid of how's his English, accent gonna be. How's he, is he gonna be able to pull off dropping the, British accent? And he nailed it. He was so good. He was so good. And he's a very likable dude too. Like, I've watched so many interviews with him, like on the Tonight Show and Jimmy Kimmel and all that stuff, like while they were doing, press for the movie. And he's just such a down to earth dude, and he's just as happy to be in the movie as we were watching the movie, and that's what's always really, really cool there. So the new cast, amazing. The old cast, so great, obviously, to see Han Solo back and Chewbacca, Luke, Leia, like just seeing all them back. I mean, even
Admiral Akbar.
General Akbar. It's a drop. It's a drop. Just seeing all the little characters back. I mean, it was very nostalgic. It was cool having all of that. I really dug Kylo Ren. I mean, I thought he was a very good villain. I was hoping that they weren't going to Darth Maul his ass, and they didn't, thank God. I was really afraid that they were just gonna like build him up and then take him out in the first movie, and I'm glad that
we don't know though.
Well, they didn't
No,
build
we do
Darth
know.
Maul.
Well,
He didn't kill
he's still
him.
around.
He's going to be way more powerful in the next film. I mean, they went back to Snoke being like, "Bring him to me. We need to complete his training." So dude, Kylo's gonna be some pretty badass shit. I think in the next film, he's gonna get some more training. That dude's gonna really amp up his powers. He might go full on Sith, in this next film. So, I loved the character, and I liked the fact that he was struggling, between wanting to be dark side, but like, I'm being pulled to the light at the same time. Like, that was something we didn't really see before with any characters, like, I mean, when we met Vader, he was just evil, like, I mean, we saw the transition.
Yeah, and you would hear from Luke like, oh, I know there's some good in him, but you wouldn't actually see that from Vader. So now we actually kind of get to see it from that character's kind of perspective, which is like really cool.
To be fair, under the Vader mask, he made all the right emotional faces.
Yeah.
His torn.
So it's just again, it was the writing, right? He just
Yeah, he didn't write his mask very well.
And me and Peeps had talked about this before too. And when I saw the movie the first time, and those first couple scenes with Kylo, I was just like, I don't know if I liked his voice. It kind of sounded like he was talking into a box. But by like the second or third time I saw him, I was like, I really like his voice. And definitely the second time I saw the movie, I was like, I'm digging this, like, I just liked how simple it was, and
I got kind of sad when he took his helmet off, because I was like, oh man, that was sound normal.
He still kind of had the voice, it just wasn't
he
amped.
still kind of sounded like him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He definitely kept the same tone, which was good. It wasn't like it was completely modified. It was just echoed in the helmet, and I liked that character. I liked how he prayed to the burnt Vader mask of like, I want to please you, grandfather. I need to succeed, in your ways, and him begging Snoke to, continue to train him, and, finding out, when you first do get the thing when Snoke tells him, like, oh, your father, Han Solo, and everybody's like, ooh, what? And it was just cool moments like that when you find out the true, background to what this character is.
But even things like, when Han had said to Kylo or Ben, however you want to call him, but when he had said to him, Snoke is using you, and that's true. And like that kind of made me think like, well, it kind of sounds like a Palpatine. Like maybe he truly is just using Kylo to get, again, the whole thing is like they want to have their ultimate apprentice so that their apprentice will eventually take over. But it's like, what is it? Rey? Is that like his ultimate goal, or like what is Snoke's end game? And
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
even moments when Kylo Ren like lost it. Remember that? Like he'd lose self control altogether and just start ripping up
anything
something
else.
with his lightsaber. Yeah,
A big tantrum.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
it. I loved the tantrums,
Just
man.
gave into his anger.
And then he's like, anything else?
That was so
I'd have been
funny.
like, no.
And then the guy's like, they were with a girl? What?
It's much better than
girl?
Anakin's when he throws a couple across the room. He's just jealous. Wait, I'm sorry. No.
Will you stop it?
The best were the stormtroopers when the stormtroopers are walking and they see it going down. They're
Back
just
it
like,
up.
Nope.
Back it up. Back it up.
Just backing up. Yeah, the sparks are all flying out the room. They're like, oh, hell no. And yeah, Kylo was just awesome. And how badass was the scene in the very beginning when Poe shoots him and he stops
Dude.
the ray, like, just
That
in the
was
middle?
Best.
The laser blast is just floating in the air. Like, I was like, oh my god, he could
That was
actually...
some Star Wars Force Unleashed shit. Like
And yeah.
Go ahead.
What was awesome too was like he just ignored it the whole time. Like he just stopped it, left it there, and then
I like
when he
kind of
walks
forgot
away-
about it for a while. I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wasn't there a
Yeah. He just totally forgets.
And then
about it.
he starts pulling Poe towards him, right? And Poe's going past the frozen like laser shot, and he's looking at it like, what the fuck? Like he's like, how did he do that?
It was so cool to get something we haven't seen before. Like we've
Right.
seen
Yeah.
different versions of like using the Force, and that I've never even seen that in a game. Granted, I don't play a lot of the games, but just that stopping the bullet straight through, like in the middle air, was just my jaw hit the ground. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, and that was like, I mean, the first 5 minutes of the movie, so it was a really cool way to kind of show the power of Kylo and like just like how like in tune it was, and and I liked like the humor that Poe Dameron brought, because even in that very first scene, he brings Poe in front of him, and Poe's like, "So you want me to go first, or you want to go first? Like,
How's this work?"
Yeah,
Well, I
and
mean, also he's like looking at this guy's mask, and it's like a pause, and he can't see anything. He doesn't know.
yeah. So you
And
want
just
me to
think
go
about
first?
being in that situation. Like, okay, like if you're Poe, you're facing this like one of the most powerful guys in the galaxy, and you're gonna be like cracking jokes. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
It was,
Yeah.
dude. It
He
was
figured he's
such
dead anyway.
it was such a cool character, and it leads me to feel like obviously he's gonna be like the new Han, like moving forward. Like, I mean, he's gonna be that kind of character, and he's gonna kind of take that place, which I'm totally cool with. And so speaking of positives, I mean, I gotta say BB-8 too. I mean, that's another thing. When I first saw the pictures of it, I'm like, they just want to try to make a new toy. It's kind of stupid. It's a little fucking ball, like
I felt
whatever.
the same way. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all, and I was just like, if this thing gets like, and what I was afraid of, and we kind of got it, but it didn't bother me as much, was the fact that like I knew R2D2 was in it, but I'm like, watch, R2's gonna get kind of shafted for this fucking ball, and he did, but luckily the ball turned out to be pretty damn cool. So,
Well said.
So I didn't mind it when everything was said and done that we didn't get more R2. I was actually really impressed with how much I liked BB-8 and how much I felt like the emotion of this little
Yeah.
ball just rolling around, which is just crazy, dude. It's crazy because I just didn't think like I would give a shit about this little ball, and he was awesome. I mean, from the very first moment you meet him to the very end, that thing was such a cool toy, and I really want to buy like the $180 like little remote control one that I can control with my phone because it looks awesome.
Put it on set mode, it drives around.
I mean, we can go on and on and on about positives. I mean, it's just this whole movie's a positive for me. I'm gonna have very little negatives to kind of get into, but and more stuff I'm sure will come up as you guys bring it up. But I mean, just so much, man. I mean, it just you got so much out of it, and I like that. Even things we saw in the trailer weren't really what we kind of expected, which I
Yeah.
thought was kind of cool. Like, I mean, the whole big scene of the Millennium Falcon flying around, like, it wasn't even Han flying that thing. Like, that was Rey and Finn, like in that scene flying that thing around Jakku. But in the trailer, it's that scene, and then it leads
I
right
thought
into
it was Han.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, because in the trailer you see the thing flying around, and then they show the Han and Chewie thing with "We're home," and then you're just like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm like, who else would be flying the Millennium Falcon, right?
Right?
But then when you're introduced to the ship in the movie, they're like, oh, let's take this piece of junk, and they like steal the ship, and then she flies it all awesome, and there's so much that is just so great. All the new characters, all the old characters. The movie just worked on so many levels. So I won't ramble anymore on positives because we'll be here forever. Like I said, the whole movie is basically a positive. So, Pat, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Start with you this time. What were the big positives for you?
Well, I liked the nuances, the small things in the story, like even like Luke had to face his father to become a Jedi, and resist the temptation of going to his side and try to get his dad to come to his side or destroy Vader. That was what he was told. Remember, you had to defeat Vader to become a Jedi, and then Kylo had the same thing. He had to like face his father and either decide to go with his father or totally go to the dark side and destroy his father. And so it gave that same side of the coin, that the whole Skywalker problem, right, was like, do I go to the dark side or the light side? So I did like that. I also liked how there was, I guess the best way to describe it's like when he was with Solo on the bridge. Remember that? And the light was pouring in, and then there was all this hope in the scene, and he was like, I don't know if I can do this alone, Father, and it's like all this like emotional buildup, and then the sun goes out, and then it's all red. His face is all red. It's all. I don't know why it was red. The lightsaber wasn't out yet, but his face was red, and it was it was darkened on one side, and you could see that the dark side kicked over, and it was like it added to that emotional flair.
Yes.
The whole movie's like that, right? I mean, like it just
Dude,
gets.
that scene just like I had like a pit in my stomach. I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, and then yes.
He did, and so you're looking at these foreshadowings, I guess. Even when him and Rey are fighting at the end, and they had locked lightsabers, and the camera would switch to him, and you'd see the red on his face, and then it would switch to her, and the blue from her lightsaber was on her face. It was this like cool little like effect, just little details like that. This whole movie's full of just little details that just make it awesome.
Talking about that fight, Pat, like when with those little details, like when he's swinging the lightsaber or when she's swinging the lightsaber and it hits the tree and then you see the tree fall down, that shit made me go nuts. I was like, oh, so cool.
And snow hitting it and like
yeah.
And when she knocks it in the snow and it starts melting it.
yeah, the snow melting with it was awesome.
And so there's just little details. I mean, even with like how everything worked was plausible, even like down to the stormtroopers aren't new armor, and I liked it, and I didn't know if I was going to, but I really liked it. I really liked all the characters and how they fulfilled their roles. I mean, like you said with BB-8, I felt every emotion without ever needing, like BB-8 never told you he was sad, but you just saw he was sad, or he was like a person. And for the first time, other than C-3PO, who's kind of a joking character, you actually see that these droids are more like people than we give them credit for. Even like when I roleplay, I don't give these droids enough life, I don't think. And I think droids are an important part of this world, and BB-8 really made it shine, even more than R2 ever did, I think. And that says a lot. Like some of R2's emotions, but mostly other people tell you what he's saying. Like, oh, don't you get an attitude with me, R2, or don't you cuss at me, that what's your language kind of thing. But with BB-8, you didn't need that translation. He was just, when he flipped out the little fire thing, he was excited. When he was sad, he'd like,
I mean, Finn didn't even speak droid, yet he was like communicating with him because like you said, it translated very well with his emotions and all that.
Which just says a lot, right? The seeing the old cast did light me up. Chewie was outstanding in this movie. He didn't have like the biggest roles, but like when he's mocking Han, or one of my favorite scenes, like, oh, so you're cold. I even wonder if that was even ad-libbed in. I don't know if that was like script, but it was funny. Those two guys together Chewie and Han, their chemistry just picked right back up from like the other movies. Like they were like old, because now Chewie's an old man too, right? So they're just old friends, almost like a married couple. It was really outstanding. And I'll let it go at this. I mean, besides that, the fact that the whole movie had just little details that was just awesome. Everything was just awesome. General Hux, I didn't think I was gonna like him when I first saw him. He kind of seemed like this bitchy kind of preppy guy, but you can see like the animosity between Kylo Ren and him, and how they were kind of competing for Snoke's like approval. And like at first I thought Kylo was in charge of him, but then you come to find out that they're kind of on equal footing. It's not like Vader and somebody else, it was this different relationship. And General Hux actually surprised me how much I really liked him in the movie and how much he played that part. So honestly, I've never seen him in anything else, and maybe Don knows what he's been in.
You have seen him.
Oh, have I?
Yeah, he was in Ex Machina with Poe Dameron.
Oh, I loved it, Ex Machina too. But another thing, the last two things I wanted to say, I'm going to let the whole little designation thing with Finn, I'll leave that to Fred, because he found.
Oh no, you take that.
That's all you. But did you
phone.
notice that Ben Solo and then his name is Kylo Ren? Like it's like his name he altered the name just enough to be something different, but leave enough of it to like mock his parents. Like it's like Solo and Ben, but he changed it to where it's something totally different. But
it's like you changing your name to Natrick.
Yes. Natrick.
I see where you're going with that, but I think you're off, because they were the Knights of Ren, and that was a title that was given to him. It wasn't like he changed his name to Ren. The Ren
sense.
part is all those guys in black. They're all Rens,
I gotcha. That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
I didn't know that either. I didn't catch on to that. Another thing was, I liked the little, I forget her name now, the little orange character.
No, leave that for me. That's me. I'm doing that.
Maz.
Maz. I really like those. I'll leave it for you. But I really like those scenes with her. And when Han had the bolt, Chewbacca's bolt thing, those were awesome scenes too, where he's like, I really like this. I just, all around, it's a good movie.
All the way around. All right, Peeps, it's your turn. Go for it.
I mean, Pat took all the good stuff. Jeez, just let me like a sandwich with all the meat taken out. So that bread with tongue lick all over it.
1/4 portion.
1/4 portion.
That's his new Transformer thing. It's got that down. So yeah, I mean, kind of bouncing off of that. Like, I freaking loved. I don't know why. Like, when Don first, showed us the official Star Wars poster, we saw that little Maz Kanata's alien. I'm like, what the hell is that alien? And I think you guys didn't notice it at first. You like, I have no idea. And then I think Don, you looked it up, and then you posted her name, and like so I completely forgot about her. But like, man, like when you first see her, she's just like, Han Solo, and the whole place just like stops, like, oh shit. And I'm just like, oh shit. And then she was like, hey, where's my boyfriend? And I'm like, all right, she's cool.
That was funny. Where's my boyfriend?
That was awesome.
I really like that Wookiee. But yeah, man, I don't know. I really, it's funny, like, just listening to her speak, I'm like, gosh, she has like such a beautiful voice. And I'm like, man, was she on Lion King? Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed her voice. And then Lupita Nyong'o, I'm like, damn, you should have been Storm, but you're freaking awesome anyways. But yeah, and I really liked her. Her little, I've seen, she's been around she's like a Yoda, right? She's kind of been around for like 1,000 years, and I've seen the eyes of many men, and you have an eyes of a man that wants to run. And then again, just kind of going with what you're saying with this acting. I mean, you look at him, and he's like, yes, we need to run because shit is about to go down, and I am not going to be here when it goes down. And I really liked her character, and then just all of like
she was
the
funny
knowledge.
when she was climbing across the table and she was
Yeah.
doing the thing with her goggles, making her eyes all big and everything.
What is she doing?
What is she doing?
What is she doing?
I don't know, but it's not good.
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I really liked her, and then just the knowledge that she has. She's like, I'm not like I don't know the Force, but this is what I do know, and just kind of being that Yoda-esque wisdom kind of character. I really liked her. I want to see more of her, but whatever. She didn't die. We didn't see a body, so she's good. Um, and yeah, Pat, when freaking Han Solo grabbing Chewbacca's little crossbow thing, and I know you.
Bowcaster.
Okay, you had your moment. You had your geek moment. We're like, well, if he would have actually shot that, he would have gone flying across the screen too. But it's okay. I'll let it pass. And I'm glad you let that pass.
It's Han Solo, of course. He can shoot it.
Yeah, he does a lot of push-ups, so he's good. He's got it. I really liked that freaking scene where that stormtrooper had that anti-lightsaber. I don't know what the hell that thing was,
Yeah,
but
the electric stick.
yeah, that's Stormtrooper was badass. I really wish they would have used that as whatever that chick's name that you said that really wasn't utilized all that much.
Phasma.
Phasma, yeah, that would have been great if that was Phasma, but I mean, whatever. It's kind of cool that it was just a random stormtrooper too, because I mean, honestly, like let's be real. Like over the years, we've kind of had this conception of stormtroopers just being like these knockoff guys that like can't shoot anything and then just they're expendable, but like they're trained soldiers. And this just the opening scene where they take out that whole village and him fighting Finn and kicking his ass literally. I mean, you get to see like these are like elite troopers, not elite, but they're trained killers. So and yeah, and you guys are saying General Hux. I mean, he was freaking badass. I mean, like that speech, man. It just like you said, it had that say that Hitler kind of moment, but it was just whether if it was Hitler or he just had that the president from Independence Day type of motivational speech. Like I was ready to blow up a planet after he was talking. I was
down
like,
with the Republic.
Yeah, down with the Republic. Let's do this. But yeah, no, I'm not a stormtrooper, guys, for real. I'm just and I kind of disagree with you guys. I mean, I like that they kind of like, even though I would have liked to see more of Phasma, I kind of like that they didn't really give us too much because it leaves that kind of like, I mean, honestly, like she probably did just as much as Boba Fett, and I mean, and she had a Wookiee that jumped her from behind. Like that's I would rather go out like that instead of
And Chewie's supposed to be like badass, like he can rip people's arms out of their sockets or whatever, like So for him to take her out, like that makes sense to me. He's this giant hairy animal, and I agree. Like the Boba Fett effect, I think is going to be, she might either do something really cool in a later movie or die really stupidly in a later movie, but at least she looks cool.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to think of these characters
I'm
as
in charge, Phasma. I'm in charge.
I'm in charge. Tone it down. All right, okay. I'm trying not to think of these characters as like the new Luke or the new Han or the new anything. I mean, honestly, I think that I kind of feel like we have three like main protagonists now. I mean, yeah, I guess with Han, Luke, and Leia from the older ones, but I don't know. Like, I really like the dynamic between the bromance between Poe and Finn and the potential relationship.
Bro.
And the potential relationship between Finn and Rey, and and just and then Poe by him, like he was. Tell me that scene where like Finn is on the ground and you see the fighter in the background and he's like, that is one badass pilot. I know that's not what he said.
Damn it! You stole my thunder, Peeps. You stole my thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. Bring it on.
Yeah. So and then I guess I'll kind of just maybe end. I mean, I can go on for days, but that scene when the Star Killer actually shot its laser and it's like slowly crawling across the galaxy. I'm just like thinking like, first of all, this is a weird ass looking laser. Like what kind of laser has like fingers? Like I don't know what's going on. But then it slowly started to spread apart. And then you saw how big the beam was in comparison to the planets. And I'm like, oh shit. And then it hits the first two moons, and then just everybody on the Republic just looking up as that's the last thing that they see. I mean, again, like that was deep, and oh man, that just it kind of got chills just talking about it. Oh, that was good. But I mean, yeah, and just and I'm glad they did that, make this movie like funny and comical, because a lot of people kind of complain about that. It kind of takes away from the overall serious factor of the movie. Um, but like, I don't know, I really like that. It
Oh, it was great, and it was perfectly used too.
yeah, exactly. So I'll leave it at that. Fred, I'll give you anything else. Maybe if you want to talk about a lightsaber scene or two, but yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, some of the positive. I mean, everything that we've been talking about so far, completely 100% agree with. Like, it's just all so good. So good. But I wanted to call specific attention to, like, how about the art style in general? Like, the design of Kylo's costume. It's a cool way to be modern and hip, and kind of almost give you like a cool factor of like Darth Maul, and still be like retro and menacing, like Darth Vader. And like it just they did such a good job of mixing everything. And same with Rey, like she has that Tatooine deserty kind of outfit, but yet it's modern and it's a little different. Like she's got the bicycle
Arm
pants
sleeves.
and
Yeah.
arm sleeves, and yeah,
Yeah.
and so everything was just such a really cool way to mix the style to make it match what Star Wars really is, and not be so far in the future that it just looks totally too shiny. Like it looks like 30 years of progress and
Like,
progression. So
that is so awesome that you say that, because yeah, like as you're saying that, like I totally agree. Like the characters, they all have their own unique, like just Finn having Poe's jacket, like that's his jacket that we're probably going to see,
yeah,
in every movie going forward, and Poe's unique black
TIE fighter.
X-wing, and like you
which
said,
was
like
amazing.
yeah. And the scenes or the scenery that you've seen from, like, whether if you're inside the ships or you're on the outside, it does have that older, kind of feel. Whereas like the episode 1, 2, 3, it felt like we're in the future type of, with all the green screen. And not taken away from that, Pat. You like it.
But it did give you more of a feel of like, okay, this is matching kind of the world that we were in during the original Star Wars movies, and like you said, the backgrounds with the snow planet being the new Death Star, and it was really really cool, and Jakku, the desert, everything about it, like just the design in general, I felt like everything that they came up with hit the mark.
Yeah, and they didn't have to go back to Hoth and Tatooine to
Right.
recreate that.
Or even moving the new Republic to the Hosian Prime in the Hosian system instead of on like I was gonna say Alderaan, but it's not.
Coruscant.
Coruscant. Thank you.
Yeah.
And at first when it blew up, I thought it was Coruscant, but
So did I.
the second time I watched it, they said that it was a Hosian Prime in the Hosinian system or something like that.
Okay, I
But-
never.
I
caught
still
that.
think it's
That's awesome.
Coruscant.
I still think it's. How am
I could have sworn I've read several articles that said it was Coruscant, but
No,
Everyone's
didn't
like,
call
Jar
it-
Jar's dead.
it's not.
Yes,
They
Jar
said it
Jar."
was in that system.
God, they got Naboo.
Well, he's,
But yeah, and then
I'm sure someone has murdered him anyway.
probably. I did want to touch on BB-8 because you guys talked about him a little bit, and I thought it was kind of funny. Like to me, like I don't live in a world where you have to like R2 or BB-8. I live in a world where you can like both, and it was funny because my
You gotta
girlfriend.
choose, man.
My girlfriend was a huge R2 fan. She was like, I'm not gonna like BB-8. And like the second he's on the screen, she looks at me and she's like, he's like a little puppy. And and that was a great description because like R2's like the dog you've had for several years, and you get BB-8 and he's like the little puppy, the new guy,
That's
and you can love
good
them
analogy.
both. So, again, just want to touch on Poe. His ship is amazing. That black paint job is just totally badass, and I love his positivity. Like when Finn's breaking him out, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this," and then like, and then like he's flying at the bad guys and the TIE fighters. He's like, just fly straight at him. Like he's just totally confident, and like I liked that about him. It's really cool. It wasn't cocky like Han, because Han was, he was full of himself and he had that positivity about what he was doing, but with Poe, it's more of like I'm positive for everyone else. He's cocky, but he's
He's a good
positive
leader,
about it.
I
So
think,
yeah,
yeah.
I liked it. So just a couple more things I want to touch on, and then we can move on. First off, Pat, you had mentioned the numbers, and I thought that was a really interesting thing where they said back in Star Wars, The New Hope, the cell that Leia was in was that 2187. and then Finn's call number is FN2187. So it's pretty cool that they're like tacking on little callbacks to the original stuff too. So I like when they do those kind of like hidden gems in there. But the last thing I'll touch on as far as positives, because again, you guys, all of us together, have covered a lot of good stuff. But I love how they've managed to keep with the Star Wars theme of having super interesting background characters that you have almost no information about, but yet I just can't. I want to know more. Like when they're in, when they go into the new cantina thing where Maz is. Oh, by the way, did you guys catch the Mandalorian flag hanging above the entrance?
I did.
Oh,
It's
that
awesome.
just so excited when I saw it. But anyway, so you go into the cantina, and I want to know the stories of three individuals in particular. So number one, like one of the first guys that stands out, there's this like gigantic dude with like upside down walrus teeth, right? And then like chick, I think he's got this like hot chick next to him, and she's like just chilling, and he's just like sitting there. I want to see that dude stand up, and I want to see that dude like tear some shit up because he was huge, and I thought he would be really really cool. And then Finn, he's about to jump on that ship to go work with the other guys to get transport to the Outer Rim.
The
And the
red
two
dude.
guys, yeah, the
Yeah.
red dude, and then the short fat dude. I call him Jay and Silent Bob because I don't know their names. Yeah, like the tall skinny guy, the short fat guy. And so like I want to see that story with that dude in the red, what Jay and Silent Bob are up to. Like I got to figure out who those guys are, what's
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
with them.
Even how
So
they got there, even if they got off before the TIE fighters came down. Yeah.
exactly. And I love how Star Wars can do that. That they can have this character in the background that really has no impact on the story, but it's super exciting and interesting, and you just want to like scoop everything up and learn all you can about it. So
Did you
I
see
thought they
that?
did a really, really good job.
Did you guys see that big droid they passed when they were going into the bar, into
The
the
chick
canteen?
droid looking thing?
No, there was this big droid that was walking through the doorway in the beginning, before they got to the main door.
Yes,
So
yes.
those are actual guardians of those old temples, those old Jedi temples. I
Oh,
mean,
cool.
even if you play like the Knights of the Old Republic, you gotta like kill a million of those to get to the temple door. So I mean, it was just a little nod, a little nod at the whole Star Wars universe there.
And like even that little guy riding on that robot horse.
Tito.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, I love the characters and the style and the background and everything, and they really nailed it.
All right. Well, we'll transition over into negatives or maybe things we weren't super stoked about coming out of this. Every movie usually has them. I don't have much. I will say, and I know I think I'm kind of in the minority here, but one of my biggest pet peeves with this movie and one of my biggest worries going into the film, um, which once we got that first full official trailer and we still got no Luke in that trailer, was that Luke ain't going to be in this movie until the last damn 5 seconds of the film. And I remember I was sitting there watching it, and when the movie started, I said to myself, like, please don't let him be like the last shot of this film. And I was thinking it wasn't going to be for the first half of the film. I mean, the opening crawl is pretty much straight up like, where's Luke Skywalker? He's gone into hiding. Everybody's searching for him. We need this map. And I'm like, okay, that's how we're going to start. We'll find him, and everything will be all well and good. Well, the thought that I wasn't going to see him to the end, well, that of course came true, as he is in the last 60 seconds of the film.
This was a perfect scene.
This is my negative. Stay out of it. All right. It's a cool scene. I'm not gonna say that it didn't play its moment, and of course the scene makes me really excited to see what Episode 8 goes and takes us, because obviously we're gonna kick off there again in the next film, and it's gonna be great. But for me, the character that I loved growing up as a kid was Luke, because he was the ultimate Jedi. He was the guy that, carried basically the flag for those 3 films. It was his story. I was excited when the original cast came back and that we were going to finally see Luke in what we all thought was going to be like the Obi-Wan type role, and he was going to, I wanted to see him 30 years later as an even more powerful Jedi and what he could do now and all this kind of stuff. And I just wanted to see more, man. I just wanted to see more Luke. And like I said, I know we'll get it in the other films, but for me, that was a negative because I was just afraid that's how they were going to play us, and that's exactly what they did. Um, so not to say it really takes anything away. It works for the film. It was a worry of mine that ended up coming true, and it bugged me because I really did want to have some more Luke. I was, hoping at some point in the film he was just going to come out of nowhere and just start kicking some ass in one of those final battle scenes. So uh, just a minor thing for me. It was touched on a little bit earlier, and I know there's a little bit of back and forth on this for you guys, but for me, I'm gonna agree with the fact that I think Phasma was way underused. Yes, she can come back in other films and she can have bigger moments, but they really played up her character as like this new, iconic, special kind of stormtrooper because she was chrome and she like she led them, and it was like, oh, the Chrome Stormtrooper, and it's the chick
Right?
from Game of Thrones, and
Yeah.
she's gonna kick some ass, and she did absolutely nothing. I don't even know if we saw her fire a gun. Exactly. She walks with a gun and then does nothing. And then I felt like they really bitched her out when it came down to it. When Finn and Han and Chewie and all them got to her, the way her character was set up to me would have said like, you need to kill me, like I'm not gonna fucking pull the shields
Yeah, I felt
down.
the same way.
Like they're like, shut off the shield. She's like, okay. Like I'm just like,
And then
what?
threaten them.
Yeah, like,
And,
oh,
and that didn't happen. The troopers never came down the hallway to kill them all.
I know, like when she stood up and she was like, "You're never gonna get away with this." I thought she had triggered something, or like she
Yeah.
had activated something, and she was gonna get out of there real cool
Yeah.
and quick. And then nothing happened, and they're just like, "Oh, do we have a disposal chute?" Yes, we do. Okay, cool. It was a funny moment, and like I said, I'm sure we'll see her again. I'm sure she'll do some cool stuff down the
blew up.
road.
She was in a trash compactor when it blew up.
Nah, I don't
Well,
think
maybe
she-
she's safe. Maybe
They got
that's
her
like
out.
a.
I don't think
it's
she's
like a
dead
safe room.
whatsoever. Yeah, I don't
Safe
think
room.
she's dead at all. But I just feel like it was a character that was wasted, for sure. That they should have done a lot more with it. Um, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with the scene where Han gets killed. I felt like it was a little too obvious. You know,
Very obvious.
I mean, there was no shocking moment to that scene, which really should have been a very like, oh my God moment when it actually happened. Like I think they could have even done that same scene if I just wish we could have seen an interaction between Han and Kylo maybe earlier in the movie.
Yeah, that was my problem. There was
Yeah,
no interaction with them.
right. That was the very first time you ever saw them talk, and I was thinking like maybe like when they were on Maz's planet, and Kylo grabbed Rey, maybe at that point Han was like, Ben at that point, and kind of tried to talk to him, and then he took off with Rey, and they at least had some kind of confrontation earlier in the movie, to kind of build a little bit more of the rapport. Maybe it would have paid off more for me too if they didn't give away the fact that that was his son, by Snoke. Like what if we find out when Han goes Ben on the walk? Like right
Ooh,
when
that would have been good.
because you're like, what? At that point, like, you think he's going to go kill Kylo, you don't know any kind of connection, and then he just yells Ben, and you're like, oh shit! Like at
But
that point,
they still could have said about his father. They could have said you still have to confront your
Right.
father and all that.
yeah. I mean, they could have still done hints, teases, but if they would have dropped, like that's the first time we're finding out as fans is when he yells at his name on the catwalk. I think I would have felt a little bit more like, oh my God, like kind of moment to where then when he actually kills him, it would have been a little bit more emotional kind of payoff to it. It just I just felt like it was a wasted kind of moment. I do like the shot, like how Pat talked about how, the way the lighting was on when he was like, when he took the helmet off and he's like, I'm in pain and I struggle and, are you willing to help me? And, even though like you knew what the helping was, is that he was going to sacrifice himself for him to kill him.
I actually didn't know that was the helping at that point. They
Uh,
actually got me.
Oh, see, that's
Oh
exactly
wow.
what I thought. As soon as he said, like, are you willing to help me? And he was like, of course, anything. Then I'm like, okay, cool. He just told him, go ahead, kill me. Like, 'cause it's going to make you officially pull over to the dark side. It was still a great scene. I think they could have tweaked that a little bit to actually pay out a little bit better in the long run. Um, Trying to think if there's really anything else. Those were really my biggest nitpicks out of the thing. Like I said, just a couple for me. Other than that, I mean, I thought the pacing was perfect. I never felt the runtime. I felt like it was just flying. The humor balance, like everything, really, really worked for me. So I mean, those are just the couple things that kind of bugged me walking out of it that I would have done a little bit differently. So, Pat, what do you got?
I got very little. I mean, I'll be honest. I think that I would have liked a little more hints at Rhea's background a little bit more. I'm with you. I think her mind has been wiped now. When we first left, I was like, she better not be Luke's daughter. But the more I watched it, I actually was glad that I feel like she's gonna be Luke's daughter and that she was there when all that happened.
Well, let's save that for predictions.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying though, it kind of upset me that I still have to guess. Like I think like maybe just a couple more memories or something to give us an idea that maybe she had some powers, because a big problem with a lot of people was that she just all of a sudden had her powers. You know what I'm saying? Not for me, but a lot of
Not
people
for
had
me.
that. When I talked to some buddies who saw it, they were like, "Well, she just became a Jedi out of nowhere," you know. And me and Don talked previously, and he sold the idea she was already trained younger, and I kind of like that. But I think like because you didn't know that going in, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, I think the I
Uh-oh.
I wanted more Poe. I wanted more space battles. I wanted more space. Like this is Star Wars, and there's these epic Tie Fighter space battles, and I wanted more of that, maybe. But that's just me being nitpicky. Like the movie was great. It's just me being nitpicky. Like I wanted to see more Tie Fighters and more uh, X wings, and maybe some other variants like a B wing or a Y wing or a new fighter, that came in. But it
Or
was
a
just all
J
X
wing.
wings. Or there you go. Yeah, but something though, right? Something different, and I don't think we really got that. But what we got was good. Like nothing was more awesome to me when those X wings were coming across the water. That was so awesome. So X wings
Oh,
are
that
cool,
was awesome.
but I would just like to see more updated fleet. Like they keep saying, the fleet is located here, and there's that. I wanted to see some of those new ships, which is a great opportunity for them to sell toys. So I don't know why they didn't do that, but whatever. I did like that portion, but I wanted to see more of that. I think also, we already talked about FASTA, but I also think that they underutilized maybe some of the rebellion portion of it. Like I wanted to see more about what was going on with the not the resistance this time, right? The resistance. I felt like it was just like a glance, but maybe we're gonna get more of that. But I wanted to see more of like a plan. Like obviously they knew there was this giant star killer, and it was almost like he got there and they're like, we don't know what to do with this. And then like, oh, we got a stormtrooper. He's gonna help us understand. Like really, because like many Bothans died before. I mean, I wanted something more with them. They all kind of seemed like they were a half-assed group of people. I wanted to see more organization or more something, even though the Republic did just blow up. Like essentially, Leia is now the government, so I don't know. Also, I hated that R2 just kind of was a statue for most of the, like I guess he was programmed to be turned on at some point when the map was complete. I didn't really get what happened there on why. I know Luke had his hand on him, so maybe he was like, just shut down until my daughter Rhaegar gets there, or whatever. I don't know, but it felt like he just wasn't in the movie, and then like conveniently he turns on and has the map. So it kind of bugged me. I wanted to see more of that.
I will let me chime in on that one because that was another thing that bugged me too, especially seeing it the second time.
Yeah.
Because I felt like what was so different about the end of the movie? Like BB-8 rolled up to R2 in the middle of the movie, pulled the sheet off,
Yeah.
and then even C-3PO was like, "Oh, I doubt he has the rest of the map,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
like
right.
they ignore it, and then at the very end of the movie, the same thing happens, and all of a sudden R2's like, "Bloop! Hey, I got the rest of the map." Like
Yeah.
what
Hey,
changed?
I
Like
couldn't figure it out either.
like why all of a sudden? Like why didn't he do that in the midway point of the movie then? What the fuck?
Yeah, it was a convenient MacGuffin. It was a convenient plot thing, but I just didn't understand how that worked. So I mean, I don't have a whole lot. I really love this movie. I mean, maybe you guys saw some definite. Oh, I do hate the fact that like Kylo Ren's running around just freezing fools all through the movie, and then at the end when he's battling everybody, he's like, "I just let them get me." I mean, I guess because it'd make a boring ending, but like he could have froze Finn, took the lightsaber. Like
Yeah.
I can see if Rey fought him because maybe her powers got up bigger now, or the Force abilities, and she's able to stop it. But like Finn, I mean, I don't know.
Well, it seemed like he was kind of toying with him. Like it
He was
didn't.
Yeah.
toying with them.
Yeah, I
but-
felt the same way. Like that cockiness of the dark side. Like when the Emperor was talking to Luke in return, he's like, "You're my apprentice." Like even though Luke's like, "No," he's like, "Oh no, you don't get to say this. You're my apprentice." I felt there's kind of that cockiness there too. Like he's like, "I could just kill this guy with not even trying. So I'm just gonna."
Or I'm just going to keep electrocuting him, stopping, talking to him, electrocuted, stop and talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought Kylo was doing the same thing, where it's just like, let's just play around. And then when he got mad, then
Yeah, when
really
he got hit
realized.
in the shoulder. Yeah.
He's
But
like,
then he
okay,
didn't do it
let's
then.
be done
He
with this.
just attacks him. I mean, I don't know. But that was my pet peeves.
Yep. Which reminded me of one more that you guys actually talked a lot of positives earlier, and I spaced talking about on my negative, but I actually didn't like the General Hux character.
Oh wow.
I thought he was fucking annoying. I thought he was over the top. I thought it was too much. Like he came off uber cheesy to me compared to everybody else in the film. Like it was just like I felt like he just played it too hammy. Like too just over the top. There was a couple scenes with him where I was like, okay, cool, I don't mind it, but like every time he was like angry or tried to be like "Wah, wah, 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 wah," like it was just too much for me. So I didn't like, I don't know, he just I especially with who the actor was, and he is a great actor, and I just felt like it's just one of those things where sometimes I feel like a good actor gets kind of thrown into a role, and I don't think it mashes all that well with them. But I just expected a little bit more, I guess, out of that character. Yeah, no, I know, and that's what I mean. That's why it's cool to hear what everybody's got to say, because we all interpret things in a different way, and I felt like he was a little just too over the top for me. Um, but I mean, it didn't ruin anything for me. I just would have just had his scenes delivered in a little bit of a different way. Um, Fred, let's throw it to you. What you got? What's your negatives?
All right. So, again, this is a hard movie to find things to be upset about. I mean, is it a perfect? Are there things that you can complain? Yes, but I think all in all, it all works together. Regardless, it's nothing but entertaining and fun. But since we're nitpicking, I think one of the things that bothered me the most was really the fact that a lot of people complain that this movie is an echo, or I don't even want to say a copy, but so similar to the first Star Wars, which I think is why it works so well. But with
Exactly.
that being said, I think that there are details that are problematic. And what I mean by that is like the Death Star, but bigger. So here we have the Death Star again. And honestly, once I saw that it was just a bigger Death Star, I was kind of like, ugh, again? Like you can't think of something a little differently? But I guess, I mean, thinking back on it, what is more scary and destructive than something that can destroy another planet? I mean that, or
A
or
little
multiple
system.
planets. Yeah, a whole system. So, I mean, I see why they do it, and it's fine. But it was those kind of like little things where I'm just like, I'm okay with you being so similar to the original to get the new audience and stuff, but can you do something other than just making everything bigger? Because that was another thing with the oh man, Pat, remind me what it's called, the triangle ship. I can't believe I'm forgetting it.
Are you
The
talking
Star
about the Star
Destroyer?
Destroyers?
Yeah, how it was like way bigger than the other ones. Like
And it was black.
it was black and it's way bigger. So, I just kept thinking like, why does everything have to be the same but bigger? Like,
Well,
give
it
me
was
a
smaller
little.
than a Venerator. I mean, the one that Vader had. It was smaller than that.
Oh, it was
It was
smaller
just a
than.
bigger than an Imperial 2 Star Destroyer. I don't even think it was that much bigger. I think it was wider.
Well,
Well,
Fred, I
In
mean,
different modes.
I was kind of just thinking, I was thinking of that too, but I mean, instead of them like building, the Star Destroyer, I would assume they just took the planet and then just transformed it into the Star Killer or whatever.
right, like
So
building within it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't
Yeah,
think they were like planning on bigger. They were just going, let's try instead of building, from the ground up, just in case it gets blown up. Let's have a foundation and add to it.
Well, how hard is it to blow up a planet too? I mean, unless you have a Death Star. So I mean, really, if you look at the plan, it's a solid plan. Like
well, and
building a planet.
like I said, I realized that that's like kind of ultimately the biggest weapon you can have. But I just thought it was kind of funny that like it was a little irritating that it was the exact same thing, only bigger. Like I figured they could have come up with something to be able to accomplish that task, but be slightly different than just another thing of the same thing, only bigger. But that, and again, this is okay. I'm just being like nitpicky and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that was like pretty much my biggest gripe with it. I also am not so as far as characters go. The one character I was really excited for because I saw nothing about him was Supreme Leader Snoke, and he was actually the one character that pissed me off the most. I was very disappointed in his style of the way that they made him look. I knew Andy Serkis was, doing all the motion capture, so I'm thinking like, dude, this guy's gonna be some cool looking like alien
I
or
hated his
something.
design. I'm with you.
It was so
Yeah, I meant to
terrible.
talk about that too.
I mean,
Smeagol. It was basically Smeagol with a
yeah,
cape.
he's like a mixture of Smeagol and the original Emperor, and being really big. And who knows if he's actually big? Like that
He's
was
like
just a
Yoda size.
projection. Yeah, exactly. So it was
Well,
really kind of frustrating when I saw him because that was something that I was really excited for, and I mean even more so than like Phasma being less active. I was okay with that because that's kind of like the Boba Fett effect. So that was cool with that. But the Supreme Leader Snoke being this completely CGI person was a problem for me. I wanted him to be a CGI alien. So
Hmm.
he's still an alien.
yeah, but
It's like a
like
zombie.
it was just weird. Yeah, just did not like the style of that particular character. So that was like my probably my biggest gripe with it was that character design. And I guess the last thing I'll close on as far as my complaints was the end. I thought it was a fantastic end. My complaint is that it ended. It should still be going. No,
Good
I
one.
wanted
Good.
like a solid like 30 more minutes, just like just kind of closing up. I'm okay with like Ray ending with Luke and not seeing any more Luke, but close up some of the other stuff. Like I don't show a little bit more of Kylo and Hux getting meeting up or showing up to wherever Supreme Leader Snoke's at. I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more closure. I'm totally okay with leaving the Luke and Ray stuff where it was at, but let me see what else is going on with the world. So yeah, that
Well,
was my biggest thing. Is I really just kind of wanted like an additional 30 minutes of just a little bit of closure.
well, let me say this. I mean, first off, it was an executor class, and I called it an indictor class, so that was my fault. But anyway,
How dare.
yeah, it was a superstar destroyer that Vader had. But I like the idea that Snow was because well, maybe I should wait till we get into the prediction stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm with Dawn on this one, and I'll let Dawn explain it actually. Because if he is human and he does look like that, it makes sense, maybe. But I'll let Dawn go ahead. We'll get into that. I don't want to. I don't want to ruin it for you. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, it's not ruining it for me. I mean, we can bounce it off. I mean, okay, so we touched upon what we liked, what we didn't like. So let's get into our favorite part, which is predictions. Where are we going? Episode 8 comes out in less than 2 years. So let's think what's going to happen here. With Snoke, yeah, I was disappointed too. I had heard a lot of rumors. The guy's going to be 30 feet tall, or he's going to be this or that. I saw a report really recently that said that when you do finally meet his character, it'll be about 7 feet tall, is what his actual size will be. Um, I believe that Snoke is Darth Plagueis. That is who he's going to turn out to be. They talked about how Plagueis learned how to cheat death back in the earlier movies, and it fits some of the, if you've seen some of the concept art of what Snoke is, especially with the hood up. Darth Plagueis also had a staff that he carried all the time, and that staff looks identical to the thing that Rey carried around the entire movie.
Mm.
So there's another kind of piece that kind of connects it together. So that's one piece for me, is that obviously he's going to be the new emperor type guy. Will train Kylo to be even stronger, the full ways of the Sith, complete his training, and yeah, I mean, Pat, touch on anything else you got about Plagueis, but I mean that's just an idea that I think is definitely where they're headed with that character.
I totally agree, and I totally hope you're right. Because it would definitely tie in the Darth Sidious angle and the Darth Vader angle kind of into this. Like maybe he's been pulling the strings of all of this. What if he's the Sith Lord actually, and Sidious wasn't? He was like an apprentice. He just said he was a Lord, and then he told Darth Vader he was apprentice, and so forth and so on. Um, I think that'd be really cool if he was been alive all this time, just kind of pulling the strings, and we don't really know where the New Order came from. So maybe he's had this in planning for a while, you know?
Well, Sidious said that the apprentice killed his master eventually, so maybe Sidious didn't know that he survived it.
Yeah, maybe he thought that he had killed him, but he actually didn't.
Yeah, because if you look at this face, there's this like cut in it.
Yeah.
Herpy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Is way too many Twi'leks. But no, I do want it to be that. Also, did anyone else think that old man was Wedge Antilles?
No.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
No.
No.
I thought you talking about the guy in the beginning that Kylo
Yeah,
kills.
yeah.
I thought he was oh my god, I'm spacing his name now. But I thought he was the dude that's on Star Wars Rebels. Um the older Jedi guy.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good
yeah.
thought.
But you
Khan
but
or something?
oh my god,
Kanan?
what's his fucking
Kanan?
name? Keenan or Kenan or something.
Kenan or something like that? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Kanan, that's
like
it. Yeah, I thought he
yeah.
was Kanan. But if you watch the credits, I mean, it shows you an actual character name, and it's not that. So I
Oh,
don't.
is it? I missed it. I should have watched it.
Yeah, I paid attention the second time because I was like, does it say Kanan or what does it list his name as? And the name does not ring a bell to anything that I've ever seen, which could be something else, but it made sense because he was like, like well, he's when he knew Leia, she was royalty, and like he's known Luke and everybody for a long time, and obviously he knew about Kylo being Han's kid, so like I assumed, and when you look back at look at the timeline of where Rebels is, and then like age that guy up,
Yeah,
like what
yeah, he
Kanan
would.
would be, it would have matched perfectly. So
He kind of looks like him because he had that long face too.
yeah,
Although if he was a Jedi, I feel like he would have like busted out his lightsaber and tried to fight him in some way, right?
maybe, but maybe
Not
he
if he.
didn't have.
Yeah, not if he was trying. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Don.
No, say it. I mean, I was just
Yeah,
saying.
like if you gotta understand too, like at some point he gave it up and then came back to be a Jedi in Rebels to train the young guy. So maybe at some point he's retired from that life, because now
Yeah.
there's Jedi's. But that would ruin the whole Luke being the last Jedi thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah. He could have just been like a Jedi supporter or something, like throughout the years, just a family friend. I mean, I think we sometimes read too much into certain people, but that was my first instinct with that guy, for sure. Um, yeah, what do you guys have any other thoughts on Snoke that you want to get into?
No, just that I don't like him.
I'm with you guys. I was definitely overall disappointed with his design when they had that um what if, or when they first announced that Circus was Snoke and there was that
Yeah,
green dude without the nose. Like I thought that would have been really cool. But I don't know. I don't like the zombie Smeagol Snoke that they have so far. But who knows? Like when he's standing in front of Rhea and he's like looking down to her and she's looking. I might totally change what I'm saying right now. I mean, when I first saw Sidious on the hologram, I thought he looked stupid. His eyes are all bulging out of his head. But then
yeah.
once we actually saw him, he looked really good. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think
Good
Snoke will
point.
eventually end up killing Luke in one of the future movies. That's another idea I have. That either in 8 or 9, it'll be Snoke that will be the one to
I
actually
am
get
your
into a.
grandfather.
Well, I don't know about all that, but but I think he'll get into a battle with Luke and end up striking Luke down. Um, so let's get to the biggest elephant in the room, which we've hinted upon earlier, and I think this is the biggest speculation coming out of the movie, which is who the hell is Rey, right? What is her background? What is she connected to? What is what? And I know a lot of people have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different suggestions. I'm obviously going. I'm going with the most obvious because I felt this way from the second I walked out of the movie, and I felt even stronger about it the second time I saw the movie. Is that she is a Skywalker? That she is Luke's daughter. I really, really feel this way. I feel like if she ends up not being it, it's just because they're going to try to stretch and make her something totally different just to try to swerve everybody. But this when Lucasfilm was bought out, the lady that runs Lucasfilm now, Kathleen Kennedy, she stated, the original trilogy, the prequels, and even the new trilogy, they're the Skywalker trilogies. They're the
Yeah.
Skywalker stories. So
Saga is what they said, right?
yeah, it could be saga stories, but it's about the Skywalkers. So what better way than to continue that saga with Luke's kid? Everything makes sense to me with how it played out, with the whole fact of her wanting to always go back to Jakku because she's feeling like, oh, my parents are going to come back for me. My parents are going to come back for me. You know, the thing is that so my idea with her is that she was with Luke. I think Luke started training her pretty much like right out the womb to be a Jedi, and then he started training Ben, and when Ben went all crazy, he dropped her off on Jakku, to get her away because, Ben turned dark, and then once Luke went into hiding, he knew they were all going to come looking for him, and he didn't want to endanger her, so he dropped her off on the planet. I think he Jedi mind wiped her, and that's why she didn't remember anything. But then at the same time, it also makes sense of how she started to remember things
Yeah.
because how the hell did she know how to do a Jedi mind trick? When she did that like perfectly with the Stormtrooper. You don't just automatically start to know how to do that. She was so strong with the Force in that movie so quickly that it was like she had to have previous training. There was something had to have happened, and I think that there was an awakening. The Force had awakened in her, especially like all the stuff from her touching that lightsaber or even looking at it, those were all Skywalker memories, like, and then even Maz tells her, like, I want you to take it. Like, that was Anakin's, that was Luke's, and now it's yours. Why would it be hers then, unless she is continuing that lineage, And then even on top of that, I think back to the very end of the movie, after they get back to the planet where Leia and all them are. Leia had never met Rey in the movie, and they literally walk up to each other and embrace and hug. And I think Leia knows full on that's her niece, that she was looking out for her. I think that she was aware of her. I think Luke told her, kind of keep an eye, on her for me. I think, Han could have even known who she was, and that's why they were able to, you know, um, find the Millennium Falcon so fast and stuff like that earlier in the movie. I just, like it just the connection there was too quick for Leia and Rey when they had no interaction at any other point in the movie. Um, you know, and like we talked about earlier, like hearing Obi-Wan, these are your first steps, and like all this kind of stuff. Like it just connects and makes way too much sense, and it makes it for an even better turnaround, I think, in Episode 8 when she finally convinces Luke to be like, you need to train me. He trains her. She becomes the new Master Jedi of the universe, which I think is a great way to go with it. Um, so, I mean, I think there's way more things that lead me to believe that that's who she is. Um, you know, I just can't see any other explanation for it, and that's what makes me even more excited to see episode 8, to see where do they officially take this. And I felt like when she turns and holds out the lightsaber at the very end, and the way Luke looks at her is very much like, oh my God, it's my daughter, like she found me, like the force has drawn us together, kind of thing. So that's just what really pans to me to make the most sense. So I know me, Peeps, and Pat have kind of discussed all of this. I'm going to throw it to you, Fred, first, because we haven't really discussed it. So I want to hear your take on what do you think is going to be what turns out to be who is Ray?
Yeah, I I talked a little bit with Peeps about this yesterday, and kind of the general consensus that seems like there's kind of two main theories that she's either Luke's daughter or she's Leia and Han's um, daughter, and
She's
maybe
not Leia and Han's daughter.
they
I don't know
also
where they
got
can
their.
come up with
Well,
that.
I heard that they would be like the twin of Ben,
Bet.
and that they wiped their memories so they wouldn't know that, so they don't recognize the as being her daughter. And so I don't know, like at first, obviously, I was thinking Luke for sure. But the more I started thinking about that, like, because when they have the kind of torture scene where Kylo Ren takes his helmet off and she's looking at him, there seemed to be this weird, like, I think number one, she was expecting a monster, and then she sees like just a normal guy, kind of a dweeby guy at that. But at the same time, like, just going, if they're gonna stick with the kind of themes that Star Wars has done, and being like, you're my brother and you're my sister and you're my father, and all these like crazy like family type of connections. I don't know. Like, I think that her being Luke's daughter is very obvious, but I feel like um, that it might make more sense for her to actually be Kylo's brother or sister,
Whoa.
because look at it this way: like Luke, one of my thoughts that I thought was going to be kind of the main theme of Star Wars 7 coming into this was that Luke, well, his mission was to convert Kylo to the light side. And that's what I kind of anticipated the movie going on, because the last we saw Luke, he was converting his father to the light side, and he was successful. So if he was successful then, I felt like, well, maybe that would be his mission going on for the rest of his life, is I'm going to convert people who might go the dark to light. So that didn't happen in this movie, but we had Luke, who's Vader's son, being able to find a connection to Vader to be able to pull him over, and with us showing us the battle that Kylo's experiencing with, whether or not he should go dark or light. I feel like a good way to pull him into the light would be a brother or sister or something to that effect. So I don't know. The more
His
I kind of
cousin.
well, it could be a cousin, you're right. But it doesn't have that ring to it. You're like, I am your cousin. Doesn't have the
My
same ring.
cousin, I should be good.
I
I
am your
killed my dad
carnal.
yesterday.
Yeah, no.
Well, their
So,
connection could be Vader.
and it
He's
could.
their grandfather. Both their grandfather.
Exactly. And that makes sense. But I don't know. I just feel like that there will be a stronger connection and a stronger tie in order for her to try and convert him back to the light if they're brother and sister. So I don't know. Like, I was all about the Luke thing for a while, but the more I sat and I think about it, I'm kind of starting to shift over to maybe being a sister, and they just mind wiped Leia and Han, so they didn't know, and that would also
I
explain
find that
that
How do
very
kind
you?
of
hard to believe.
because
Yeah.
that would also explain the
Why
instinct
would
from
Han and Leia ever
Why would
have their
Kylo's
minds
mind
ripped?
be wiped? He's the
Yeah.
one who.
All three of them got their minds wiped somehow. Like it just
dude.
doesn't. You're too much of a stretch on that one. I think.
I realize it's a stretch, but I don't know.
I
The
have
more
another reason
Luke
why
did
too.
it. Luke could just wipe it. Just
yeah, he's the
some
most
toilet
powerful
paper.
Jedi, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where I fall with those theories.
If he was that easy for him to mind wipe somebody, like Kylo wouldn't be all evil. Then
Yeah.
he had time to wipe his memory of a sister, and but he didn't have time to
You'd
do
remember.
anything else. And it was too obvious the whole movie of like how Kylo turning dark was the rip between Han and Leia, and that's what separated them. And it's let's go get our kid and bring our son home, and da 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 da. You can't tell me that they just no one has any connection to a daughter out there
Yeah.
at the same time. Like, I mean,
It-
it would have been cool if they went that route, like originally. And I did think that that was what the story was going to be, was that especially the way Han was acting when he was, are you offering me a job, and that whole scene and everything, like he was trying to keep her close. Like I was kind of going for it, but then like it just they made enough points to point out like their kid was Ben and that was it, and I think it'd be way too much of a stretch if they're just like through somehow and some kind of wipe they just forgot about Ray.
Well, Kylo doesn't even need to know, because if they were twins, they were born at the same time, then they
weren't
could
twins.
separate him and he wiped him right then and
It's a
there.
theory.
Again, just theories are, just throwing it out there, but who knows?
Pat's
I
got
don't
facts, so.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. I mean, the twin thing comes from the universe, the expanded universe books. That's why everybody wants there to be a twin. There's no twin. If you look at the first movie, and you see Anakin, he's a great mechanic, he's a great pilot, and he's strong in the Force. Then you look at the first movie with Luke. He's a great mechanic. He's a great pilot. He's strong in the Force. Now you look at this movie.
Look at Ray.
He's a great mechanic. He's a great pilot. He's strong in the Force.
I don't know what to do right now. I feel
Wow. No, that was. I'm kind of impressed. That was well done.
They've been practicing that.
Yeah.
We did.
Sure,
we talked
for
about
weeks.
it last night.
Well, I brought it up to Don the other night.
Yeah.
But so to me, that's why I believe she's the daughter of Luke Skywalker. Now you're saying it wouldn't be so powerful. I don't believe Kylo Ren's gonna be at all ever in this whole movie converted. I could be wrong. I believe he's going to be killed,
Right.
and I believe he's gonna be killed by Rey. So that being said, I think with Dawn, Kylo Ren is going to kill Luke, and he's gonna become a blue squiggly. And help her out from that point on, because that always gives them an out if something happens, God forbid, to I mean, these guys are getting old, so they got to start writing them out of the movie. So
Yeah.
if Mark Hamill can't do it anymore, or just doesn't want to do it anymore, they can always generate a blue squiggy, right? I mean, so I think that everything that I've seen just in the span and generations of Star Wars stuff, I believe that they are cousins. I believe that she is Luke's daughter. I do believe she was dropped off on this desert planet. I just don't know why. There has to be a reason. Like, somebody on that planet he knew. Maybe it was that old guy, which I still have to go look his name up. But I think that I don't know. I just don't. I don't see him being converted. I see him being killed. He killed his father. I don't think he's coming back.
Well,
I mean,
Darth
Vader killed
crap load of
kids. He
babies.
came
Yeah,
back.
but they weren't his relatives. They were just.
Oh,
True.
okay.
So that old guy's character name is Lor Santeca.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy was kind of part of the Clone Wars. He was in the Force religion, like a Church of the Force. He was an explorer, and then he got converted into that during the Empire Wars, if I remember correctly, reading it in some of the comic books. So he actually has a pretty good connection then.
Cool. But, and then, if it is Luke's daughter, maybe he's thinking, well, I was in a desert planet, and I came out okay, so maybe I'll
There
just
you
drop
go.
her off in a
Made
desert
me
planet.
tough. Go be a moisture farmer.
Yeah, why couldn't it be, I mean, that's very coincidental if you want to piece that all together too. Who watched over Luke on Tatooine? It was, Obi-Wan. And then now this Santeca dude, who is a follower of the Jedis and knows the family very well, just so happens to be on Jakku
Which is probably how we got the map.
And what did he have? The map to Luke Skywalker, because Luke gave it to him and said, "Watch over my girl." So, this is, I mean, there's a lot of points here.
So now that I know who he is, it makes sense that he knew about the Force. It makes sense that he knew who Kylo Ren was before this, because he would have known he would have helped in the rebuilding of the New Republic. He would have known about Solo and he would have known Luke, and so that makes sense. Even if he knew enough about the old Jedi temples and stuff that Luke may have even entrusted with him without ever really telling him what he was going to do,
Makes sense.
All right. Anything else, Fred?
No, that's it for my theories.
Peeps, what you got?
It's funny. I've heard of a couple interesting theories, and some of them haven't made any sense. Like, she is a reincarnated Anakin or something. Also, she's Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter. I guess Obi-Wan
I've heard
was
that one,
getting
yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
And those are all fine and dandy. but my theory is she's an X-23. She's a Y
That's cool.
chromosome modified clone. She's a chick version of, I would say, like freaking Anakin. They cloned her. They changed up her the sex chromosome, and she probably came off to be like a failed experiment, and then they just shipped her off. They just dropped her off on like a random planet.
Yeah,
why
she's
not
a clone.
why not the Emperor then instead of Anakin?
Well, my thing is because of the connection that she had with the lightsaber. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but I mean, from what I understand, the crystals within the lightsaber, they call to you specifically as a individual.
Yeah, you
I
have
don't
to
think they
attune
call.
to them. You could go into a cave full of them and grab one, and I think that's why his lightsaber is so crappy because he doesn't have a tuned lightsaber. He just built it, without any
Yeah.
training.
Yes.
But you're right. They do. They come to you.
Yeah,
call
so
it,
I don't know Star Wars, maybe it is something that's passed down within the bloodline, but I would just think it would have that much of an effect on you if it was essentially you, but I know like clone is like kind of cheating and all that, but that's just what I would like to see. I think Luke's daughter is too obvious, and as much sense as that makes, I forgot your sound.
Well, and that and the whole calling too with the lightsaber. I mean, let's not forget about the final fight with Kylo. When the lightsaber's in the snow, and Kylo's like, "That's my lightsaber," and then like it's sitting there, and he sticks out his hand to grab it, and it goes flying right past him into her hand. Because that's that's a Skywalker lightsaber, and it went straight to her.
Yeah.
And it would also explain the being good at the mechanics and being good at the
the way she flew the Millennium Falcon in the beginning of that film, she had never flown that damn thing before, and she flew it better than fucking Han.
I'm assuming flying spaceships in Star Wars is like driving a car. Like you drove one, you got them all.
Everyone's good at it.
Yeah, Poe could drive a TIE fighter, and he's never done it before, so.
He knew exactly which switches to flip.
Yeah, he's like, it's really easy.
Yeah, he's like, hit the three knobs on top, and then twist the dial to the 1080.
He didn't even know how the guns work, but he's like, yeah, on your left is the lasers, and on your right is the pulsar.
But I don't know how to disconnect this thing, so I'm gonna keep pulling on it.
Yeah. But no, I think that would be fun. And I forgive you for skipping my negatives, Don. It's okay. I'll just do a...
I thought you got
did I?
skipped.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Oh, shit.
How
did
We're going on like
maybe the Plagueis thing threw me off. Hey, talk about your negatives, Peeps.
No.
No, you've been waiting. I know you got stuff, so okay. I mean, go. This is your chance.
Okay.
I apologize.
It kind of bothered me that I guess what's his name? The general dude. I forgot his name. Hex or whatever. Hux was calling him Ren. Like, I get that that's part of his name, but if they're the Knights of Ren, do they all go by Ren? Like, hey Ren, hey, what's up Ren?
Yeah,
not much
it's
Ren.
Like
that is good.
Bobby Ren, Stephen Ren, Kevin Ren,
George
Ren,
Ren.
George Ren.
Oh, George
Bobby
Ren, cool with the big thing over his shoulder. Yeah, I like George Ren.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that it's kind of weird.
Ren.
I had the whole Snoke design down too. That was a big bothersome. Also kind of, with Snoke, he mentioned the awakening. I don't think we really got a.
True.
They never told us what the awakening really was. Like,
was the
I know
Force.
you feel it, but like what? Like in Rey across the galaxy? Like
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see what was so.
I get what he's saying though. Like, if it was just Rey, like she's the next person that has
Right. No one has felt the Force in forever because Luke was the only Jedi and he went all dormant. And then all of a sudden Rey started using Force abilities, so he sensed the awakening.
Well, he
of the
said that
Force.
before she was using the Force.
No, she was tapping into that shit from the second she jumped onto that fucking Millennium Falcon. Like she was already tapping into aspects of it, and he could feel that because that's how powerful.
What I'm getting at is I want Finn to have some fucking Force powers. So
he
I
heard the screams when he was away from. He heard the screams of the other planets. When he turned around, he was able to use a lightsaber, which isn't a very easy thing to do. I kind of wondered that too.
He was trained as a stormtrooper.
It's true. That's true. He could have been trained with it as a stormtrooper because they were trained to fight Jedis. But do you think they really trained with lightsabers?
Maybe a
I think they
vibro
trained with
sword.
a
Kylo had
yeah,
a
with
crappy one.
yeah. Well, I think they trained with like a mock version. I mean, not
Yeah.
obviously a real one. You know, I'm sure they trained how to use them and then how to defend against them with those electric sticks.
I would just like to see Finn kind of take up, protect Ray at some point. Like Ray is actually coming down, and then Finn just kind of comes out of nowhere, and is that like ultimate hero really at the end? Like I don't know.
Where
That's what
would he be holding her hand while he does it?
Yes.
I mean.
Why
Whatever.
are you
Um,
holding my hand?
so yes, also like the whole and this is a nitpicky thing, but when Ren said, I need you to, I need your help with something, he's like, yeah, anything, and he grabs a lightsaber. I would have liked for him to kind of twist it a little, and then the blade come out of like the side of it. Like that's like kind of like an interesting mod, I guess, to that lightsaber is that even though it, you know what I mean, like it comes out like one of the like the hilt, and it impales him, I guess, through like the hilt or something. I don't know.
Like the beam could be long in either direction if he needed
Ex-
it to be.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
the other two would become short, and that wouldn't be long, and he could. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes. It's just been weird, but I was kind of hoping that
Stop
was
being
what.
weird. No, I'm just
I can't help it. Dude.
kidding.
Also, like everybody who gets slashed by a lightsaber dies, except for Finn. He gets slashed on his spine, and he's good. He's got a heartbeat, y'all. But anybody else in the Star Wars universe, if they get slashed anywhere, even if it's like the foot, they die. I don't know. But that was kind of annoying. I really, really, and this is my fault. This is kind of like Don's little nitpicky moment where he's like, "Oh, I know it's my thing, so whatever." But I really wanted a stinger. Um, I know that's not Star Wars. That doesn't happen with any of the Star Wars movies. But I wanted something. I don't know.
There was rumors for a while that they were going to do one, and then I think there was a lot of people that actually got bitchy about it and were like, "That's not a Star Wars thing, don't do it." And then all of a sudden they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to do one." Like, but there was a big rumor for a while because I mean, obviously it's owned by Disney and Disney does the Marvel stuff, and then they really liked the idea of doing a stinger, and then something happened to where they pulled it at the end.
Interesting.
I
Wow.
wouldn't want to wait 8 years to catch up with that. I mean, 8 years. I wouldn't want to wait a whole year to get to 8 to find out what that stinger was.
Oh yeah.
That would have been painful, dude. Like especially with something really cool, like Snoke standing up or something, or whatever.
It could have just
I'm gonna
been
do
like
this myself.
it could have just been like a little preview of like Rogue One.
True.
That
something
I would
too.
have been.
Yeah.
See,
you
that
know?
I could have handled. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could.
It doesn't necessarily have to be something for 8. It could have just been, first sneak peek at something for Rogue One.
Something
Yeah,
just
because
came to
8's
my
like
mind.
2 years away.
Sean, something just came to my mind when you talk about that is C-3PO had a red arm. No explanation.
Nobody said nothing.
No one gave a crap.
Didn't he mention it too?
Yeah,
Didn't say
he
something
said,
about
"You may not have recognized me due to my red arm.
I had no
It is
idea.
me, C-3PO."
Well, they came out with a
Him
bunch.
getting what happened to his red arm. I
No,
don't know.
it was in one of the prequel books.
Yeah, I
They
was just gonna
explained
say
it.
there's
Yeah,
a whole bunch of books.
Yeah.
And there's like a children's section that has like the stories of the droids, the stories of aliens, the stories of Jay and Silent Bob that I was talking about. Like there's a whole bunch of other books that they redid, like the Smuggler's Run, and a couple other ones like that show a little bit more background on Finn and Ray, and so you get a little bit more information on them. I haven't read them yet, but I have the one with it's called like Before the Force Awakens or something. But I'll let you guys know once I read them.
Yeah, I heard it is definitely in one of the books, and it's something that like his arm malfunctioned or something, and that was just the only piece that they could find.
It was so
And I was
weird
just like,
because I didn't know that. I was like, what? What?
yeah.
Why do we care?
Yeah. And I guess my last little thing is just how the Star Killer base. I mean, I'm sure with that thing being constructed with a giant cannon on like the side of the planet, nobody really questioned it or nobody wanted to stop it before it was like completely finished being constructed. It's like, hey, like 20 or so years ago, they made this Death Star looking thing. That thing looks a lot like a Death Star. Maybe we should probably stop that thing from being built. And then they just wait until it actually blows some planets up before like, all right, man, we need to do something. That thing's no joke. So whatever, nitpicky, but it's just kind of weird how they waited so long to
Yeah.
finally.
That
Yeah.
reminds me too. Is there no like police force, or did after the rebels won, did they not create some kind of like system security, because
did,
how
but
the hell did all these guys get together and just basically start the empire all over again? I mean,
so
Maybe that's how it started. I don't know.
there's nothing saying that this stuff hadn't started during, especially if this guy is like immortal or whatever. Like who knows that they didn't start the empire isn't modeled off of this
Yeah.
order, and who knows
Good point.
how long this base has been being built. Like for all we know, the Death Star was built after this thing already got started
That's true.
building. We don't even know where it came from. I mean, so we don't know how old the order is. I mean, of course, things could have got updated, like the stormtrooper armors and things like that. But everything there is, we think, is modeled after the Empire. But what if the Empire is modeled off the influence of this? You know,
Or
the
what
First
if the
Order.
rebels did create an army and they said, you know what? Fuck it, let's just be the First Order. And then they're like, oh great, now we have no army anymore.
nice.
No, I don't know.
I mean, everyone's
that's
thinking, everyone feels like this is a remnant of the Empire, but the way it's presented in the movie, every time I watch it, it's like its own thing. Like it was, they got the Empire records and stuff, but they never really allude to the fact that this is what's left of the Empire. Like this is almost a whole new organization.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of think they're not related, and I'm wondering how old the Order is and how old this planet. I think it would take more than 20 years to convert a planet into a star killer.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Cool. That's all I got.
Okay.
Did anyone notice C-3PO had a red arm? What the hell was that all?
That was C-3PO? I thought it was some other droid.
You may not have recognized me due to my red arm. All right. Well, is there any other prediction stuff you guys want to throw out before we move on?
One last thing I'll say is it's not so much a prediction as it is just like what I really, really want to see. And so basically, we got Luke Skywalker hiding out on this planet, honing his Jedi skills, and he's supposed to be like the biggest badass ever. So I'm going to be really disappointed if in the next movie he doesn't take out like a battalion of stormtroopers. I want them like sending all these people at him, and he's just kind of there like just meh, and they like
He just
all
waves
fall
his
down.
hand and they all
Yeah.
blow up.
Oh, I want to see like some wicked awesome
yeah.
Jedi Force. That's something we've never seen before. Kind of like what we got with Kylo, but like to that next level because he's freaking Luke Skywalker. So
Yeah,
like,
you're going to get
hopefully-
disappointed, Fred.
I probably will.
I'm going to be disappointed if they don't stand in the hallway and just kind of mess with each other like in Episode 4, where Vader's obviously screwing with them because like he was a badass later on. So like they're just like, and then he turns into a ghost. That's what I want.
Oh, he disappears? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I strike me down, Kylo, and yeah. So, no, I don't.
I wonder if the other ghosts. That would be cool if all the ghosts were on the island with him.
Just hanging out.
Hell yeah.
Oh, there's Vader.
There's the Yoda, Anakin, Vader.
There's Anakin again. So,
It's cool. It's cool.
where's your helmet? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I don't think I'm trying to think like what else I'd like to see or.
Anybody else catch too that Kylo Ren was like, "Show me more"? Like, do you think that like Plagueis is like pretending to be Vader to mess with them or teach him? Because obviously Vader was a good guy at the end of 6, right? So like he's like, "Father, show me some more of the Force. Teach me more. Show me the way." And like almost like he was being taught by that helmet. Or
I think he just wanted to be so much like Vader that was just one of those things that he just prayed to it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm thinking of it as an excuse. Like if he feels darkness in his heart, he's like, "Oh, that must be my grandfather talking to me." So maybe he's like talking to that portion of him, like I need, like show me that power that I've sensed probably once before.
Or maybe he has like split personality disorder, and he's like, "Oh, hey Kylo, hey, what's up, grandfather? Like, what's going on?"
Let's not talk to Ben. He's just a bitch.
Nobody likes you, Ben.
Alrighty. Well, with all that being said, let's give some final thoughts and give our score on 1 to 5 stars here, and we'll wrap this baby up. So
I want soggy bananas.
So no, we're giving lightsabers tonight.
Lightsabers. Okay, let's do lightsabers. That's awesome.
So No, so I mean, overall, like we already said, we've all seen it multiple times. The movie's only been out for 2 weeks, and I mean that goes to be said for something. Um, it is such a phenomenal film. I mean, we had such a blast with it. The action is great. The pacing is great. The humor is great. I think everything really truly worked. And as we talked about negatives and things we didn't like, I mean, we were really stretching and kind of nitpicking at that point to just kind of pull strings. Um, it's this movie is a phenomenon. I mean, it really, really is. Like I said, today, um, the movie made it crossed the $600 million domestic mark. $600.9 million just in North America, 627.4 million internationally for a worldwide total of $1.228 billion. Uh, Star Wars: The Force Awakens reached 600 million domestically faster than any other movie in industry history, crossing it on the 12th day of release, beating the previous record of 36 days set by Jurassic World just earlier this year. So, I mean, look at that. 36 days for Jurassic World to do it, 12 for Star Wars.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
D-
Watch it be like probably 3 billion once it hits like Blu-ray.
Domestically, Star Wars: The Force Awakens is already the number 2 movie of 2015, and to date, the number 5 movie of all time, just domestically. Internationally, it's the number 6 movie of 2015, and globally is the number 4 movie of 2015, and has now become the number 9 movie of all time as it just passed Iron Man 3 to be
Damn.
the 9th biggest movie of all time. So it's
That's amazing.
crazy. And what's nuts is that this film has not opened in China yet, which China is the one of the biggest box offices
Yeah.
for this movie to hit into. It has broken pretty much every record that there pretty much is possibly done to break. It broke the Thursday night preview record. It broke the opening day record. I mean, it made over $100 million like just in the first day, and then of course that when the final weekend came out, the previous record was 208 million that Jurassic World had done. That was the number one opening weekend at 208, and Star Wars did 247. So, I mean, it smashed the record. So it is the biggest opening, weekend of all time, biggest Christmas Eve opening, biggest Christmas Day. I mean, it is literally like every record it could break, it broke. It even has the biggest. I remember originally they said it didn't uh, do the opening day global box office. And that was because of the fact that it didn't open in China, because Jurassic World did open in China on its opening weekend, and it was like it fell short by just a couple million. But when the final numbers came in, it did actually beat Jurassic World and became the biggest opening global movie of all time too. It's definitely going to become the biggest movie domestically. The number one film of all time in the U.S. is Avatar at 740 million. Star Wars is at 600 million already in literally like 2 weeks. So I mean, it doesn't have it's only got to make like another 150 million, and it's gonna do it, and it'll probably have that within the next 2 weeks. So it's definitely gonna be the biggest movie in the U.S. of all time. If it's gonna hit globally, that's gonna be hard to do, man. Avatar made over $2 billion, so it's got a little bit of ways to go, and it is slowing down internationally. It's doing really, really well here, but internationally it's not holding up as well as it is here. So, China is going to be a big point to that, but we'll have to wait and see. So, be curious to think, what do you guys think if it's going to, do you think and like I said, it's definitely going to hit it in the U.S., but do you think it's going to do it worldwide? Will it become the number one
it's
biggest
all
movie of all time?
I
It's
think
all
so.
because the Remnant's coming out and it's gonna blow everything
Oh,
away.
jeez.
Well,
That movie looks like crap. Anyway, no,
I don't know. I mean, wasn't it competing with Road Chip though? I mean, that might be the big one.
I don't know how that didn't. I think
Well,
it's
this week nothing comes out, so it's gonna
Yeah.
be like everyone repeating Star Wars. And then when China hits, dude, China's gonna take it to that next level too. I think we got a lot more money coming in for Star Wars.
But it's still got to make over another billion
their
to,
money,
to
their
do
money
it.
isn't as worth as much as ours, so I don't know if that matters, like the conversion.
But
No,
that's like
I'm being
over a
serious.
time period. We're only in the second week, and you're talking Avatar is over like the entire time it was out
Yeah.
on release.
And
So
is this going to be in the theaters as long as Avatar? Because it was in the theaters a long time.
And then
I
it
mean,
came back.
yeah,
Yeah.
they released a longer version.
it just depends. I mean, like as long as people keep going, it'll stay in the theater. I mean,
Keep going.
you
I
know,
mean, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go
You know?
again.
Yeah, I'm going again.
Finally, all of us will go again together.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not quite ready to say it's going to break the worldwide record. It will definitely be number 2. That's for damn sure. I think it'll definitely pass Titanic to be the second film. But
Ever do.
it will easily become the number 1 film of all time here in the U.S. That's for damn sure. I think, like I said, within the next 10 days or so, it'll probably pass that record. So,
Yeah, I think so too.
all
I mean,
right.
just look at the fact that it's been a decade since the last movie.
Over.
I mean, yeah, and so like, yeah, I think people are just hungry for this right now, and I think I think the next 3 weekends is gonna be sold out shows still. I think it's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah, we actually, when I saw it the second time, we were going to actually do it at the Roadhouse, and it was all sold out.
Yeah,
So, it's still selling out, and days after its release. So absolutely awesome. Go out and see it. What more can we possibly say at this point? 5 out of 5 for me. Like I said, it's my number 1 film of the year. It did pass Avengers for me, so it is what it is, man. It's a great film, and loved it, and can't wait to watch it again. So, Fred, what you got? Final thoughts.
Same thing. I absolutely loved it. Had a blast. Couldn't stop smiling. Even the second time I watched it, smile from ear to ear the entire time. It's just a movie that's going to take you back to the childhood. And, for those of us who are older, who remember seeing this as a kid and stuff like that, like, this takes you back to those moments. And for those people that are new to Star Wars, this gives you something new to appreciate, to like, to get you back into some old story that's been around for so long and has touched so many different people. So phenomenal, absolute blast. Whether you're a huge fan or never seen a Star Wars, you can jump on this one and just really dive into this world. So definitely check it out. I love it. 5 out of 5.
Booyah. Peeps.
All right. Am I on mute? I feel like I'm on mute.
you're not on mute.
Okay, good. I mean, again, we've been going on for what feels like 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours now, and I mean, we can still. Don keeps cutting our mics, but we could probably go on forever with all the little nuances and subtleties that they've added into this movie that we really like. And I mean, just that alone, like, I really feel like this movie was made by fans for the fans, and being a fan, it just, I appreciate everything that they gave us in this movie. I mean, from the subtleties to like giving us a human side to the stormtroopers. Like even the one dude that was like trying to he was trying to abandon ship. He's like, "Come out of here, he's like, get back to your station." He's like, "Fuck it, I'm not getting back to my station. The general's not even here. I'm out of here. The planet's like you never really saw that kind of side to those characters like in any of the other previous films. And
Grievous,
I
he
mean,
ran from everything.
oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a bitch. Even the female stormtrooper, the badass stormtrooper with the baton. It's just I freaking loved it. And the movie, as you were saying earlier, Pat, like it was a beautiful ass movie. I mean, from the them showing that moment where the light was shining on Ren and Han, and you're like, oh, there's light on him, and then it gets dark, and at dawn you were talking about the lightsaber battle, how it would show Ren is all red, and then Rey has the blue on her, and it's just, and then there's a lot of practical, characters and creatures and robots, that they kept in this movie too. And I again, like, thank you. We don't need special effects to make a movie good. It helps, but again, that's not what we need. And again, I really love everything that they did for this movie. It exceeded all expectations. Um, In terms of the rating, we're doing lightsabers. I give it 4.5. I'm just kidding. This is my first 5 star. It is definitely a 5 star. It's I 5 lightsabers and they're red.
You're like, I give it 4 Jar Jar Binks and a Yoda.
Oh, ooh, that's kind of. Oh man.
The Misa miss me?
He said not die yet.
I'm still alive.
Misa coming episode 9.
Oh gosh.
Oh, please don't.
All right, Pat, wrap it up.
5 out of 5. Go see it.
Boom. Well said. All right, guys. Well, that is the Star Wars The Force Awakens spoiler review. I'd like to thank my guest. I'm going to go around and everybody tell people where they can find you. So, Pat, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Down at the comic store. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll be hanging out with me.
Lobster Johnson 69.
Awesome. Geeky_Pat at Twitter is probably the best place. I'm always on Twitter. There is a Facebook page /Geeky Pat, I think it is, and Geeky Pat at. Just go to Geeky Pat Broadcasting. Go to the corner.
Just type in just Google Geeky Pat.
Yeah, I'm there, like everywhere. And if you go to geekypatbroadcasting.com, at the top there'll be links to all those social media points. You can reach out and say, Pat, you're crazy, and I will respond. Also, reddragonsradio.com, reddragonsradio.com, and reddragonsradio.com, where you can listen to This Week with the Geek.
There you go. This Week with the Geek is what he was trying to get to with all that Geeky Pat nonsense.
Yes.
And so just go to reddragonsradio.com, look for the show link to This Week with the Geek. And Fred, where do people find you?
Well, I'm hanging out on the People's Forum most of the time, also on reddragonsradio.com. I'm lucky enough to be able to get on the mic and talk with Peeps over here about all the random awesome stuff. We just had a recent episode, Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to have a nice discussion on episodes 4, 5, and 6 coming up here pretty soon as well. So, again, that's reddragonsradio.com. Click on the link, the People's Forum, and you can hear me there. And if you're, like comic books, I hang out at the comic shop a lot. I hang out with my friend Charlie, who runs Charlie's Comics. And I also dabble on Twitter. You can find me at Frigginz. That's Frigginz. Frigginz with a Z. Also on Instagram with the same, Frigginz.
Oh, yeah. Peeps.
Pat, I just Googled Geeky Pat, and you're everywhere. You're like on YouTube and you're on Facebook. So just Google Geeky Pat, guys, and you'll find him. Yes, as Mr. Frigginz said, you'll find us on the People's Forum at reddragonsradio.com, where we do exactly what we did tonight and just talk shit about movies and TV shows and such. You'll hear some familiar voices on there, so definitely check me out. Also on the Twitter page, for my peoples, number 4 MYPWEPLES. We got a Facebook page as well. Just check out the People's Forum. That's 2 E's on People's, in case you're wondering. And yeah, reddragonsradio.com.
Yeah, and like Fred said, I mean, if you want to hear some more Star Wars talk, these guys over in the People's Forum have an episode up right now talking about the prequels, and then they got a new episode coming out here soon talking about the original trilogy. So lots more Star Wars talk over on the People's Forum. And yeah, lots of great shows to definitely check out on Red Dragons Radio, where you can hear all of us in a lot of different forums there. You can also hear me, Peeps, and Geeky Pat on Red Dragons Assemble. And you can listen to me every week on Am I On The Air. You can follow us on Twitter at Am I On The Air. It's amiontheair.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at DXDonMega. So we are signing off here, and I was so glad to have everybody on. We can bang out a very anticipated spoiler review. I've had a lot of people ask when this one was coming. It dies down once we kind of get out of the summer months. We don't have such big blockbusters to talk about, but we knew through the second we were seeing Star Wars, we had to do the spoiler review here for this movie, of course. And so, last episode of 2015, we're signing off for the last time this year, and we'll be back in 2016. I would like to get all the probably same crew back together at some point next month, and we'll talk, maybe our most anticipated movies of 2016. Let's see how that pans out, as we kick into the new year, and definitely see what's coming down the pike here. Lots of good stuff in 2016, so very excited to talk about that. As of course, all the other brand new great episodes that are coming over on RedDragonsRadio.com in the new year. So definitely keep an eye out. Follow on Twitter at Red Dragons Radio so you always know what's going down. And until next time, Happy New Year, everyone, and we'll talk to you later. Peace!
Red Dragon.